Welcome, everybody, to episode numero 7 of the RGW Podcast. The Regular Guys Wrestling Podcast is on the air for another week. We're very excited to be here with you. Hi, my name again is James, one of the hosts here, and sitting across from me, of course, as always, is my good buddy Eric. How you doing, Eric?
What is the true identity of the former WWF wrestler, The Goon? As our fans recall from last week, James and I had a friendly bet of what the real name of The Goon is. My guess was that he goes by the name of John Laurinaitis, and James simply disagreed with me. So our bet was, if I win the bet, I get a simple handshake. If James wins the bet, James gets to say today's date. Well, it's not John Laurinaitis. His name is Barney William Irwin, also known as Wild Bill Irwin. So, James, you may proceed.
Thanks, Eric. It's Wednesday, March the 15th, and it's a beautiful, beautiful sunny day out. The winter is still with us, but it is drifting away very quickly, and we're very excited about that. So, but yeah, I don't know what the weather has to do with wrestling exactly, because
we're Canadian.
We're not here to talk about the weather. We're here to talk about the wonderful world of professional wrestling. So why don't we get started, Eric? What do you think?
Sounds great, especially now that we got that bet thing out of the way.
That's good. Yeah, I was really looking forward to it.
Sure. Yeah. So, guys, we've got, I believe, 13 rumors today.
Lucky 13.
Lucky 13.
To go with lucky number 7.
Oh, exactly. Lucky number 7. Although it's 13.
7th week, though. 7th episode
You're
is where
right.
I was going with
Wow. This. Time flies when you're having fun, eh?
Yeah.
And I got a handful of topics of discussion. And as usual, guys, we're going to finish off the show with a review/recap of Monday Night Raw. And we're going to finish the show off with that new segment I discussed last week, the Raw S&M.
Cool.
So let's get things started.
All right. So rumors of the week. Rumor number 1, according to CageSideSeats.com, the expectation is that Daniel Bryan will leave the WWE when his contract expires unless the company allows him to wrestle. Now, that was kind of touched upon in, I guess it was a Talking Smack last week?
I'm not sure. I didn't catch it.
Oh, no, I do believe it was Talking Smack. Him and The Miz were going back and forth a little bit, and he talked about when he wrestles again in about a year and a half, which is exactly...
Oh, my apology. That's what you're referring to.
That's what I was referring to.
He didn't actually threaten that he would leave the WWE.
No, I don't think he did. No, but it was just the way he said it. It seemed that way.
Yeah, no, I saw that. I definitely saw that. I'm not sure if he'd leave the company. It's hard to say. He's very passionate about wrestling. If he gets his opportunity to wrestle and WWE doesn't let him, it might happen. You never know. But, him and his wife seem to be fairly ingrained in the company, so it's hard to tell. He loves wrestling, but he seems to love the company too. Yeah,
I mean, I have read also that he's been training to kind of adjust his style to maybe be not quite as aggressive, maybe not as intense, which could definitely complement him going back into the ring, considering he had obviously the head injuries, and which sounded really scary. Like when he came on Raw last year and was talking about the fact that he was having seizures and everything, like, to me, that tells me he needed to step away. Absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah, especially now that he has a kid on the way.
Yeah,
he's got they're going to be a young family. I don't necessarily know if that is the best thing for him. I think he's doing a fantastic job in the general manager role.
Yeah, he's doing a good job.
Yeah.
Should probably stick to where he's at right now, and I don't even know about that one last match with The Miz. It's just maybe not worth the risk.
No, it might not be. And I mean, maybe if he is training to adjust his style, it will maybe eventually lead up to something like that. I mean, we'll see. It's kind of been teased for, 6 months already?
Oh, quite some time.
Like, pretty much since the beginning of this Talking Smack thing that they've been doing. They've pretty much been teasing that. So I guess we'll see what happens. Yeah, I don't think it's the smartest thing for him to do personally.
Agreed.
Yeah, got a baby on the way.
Yeah.
You want to be around.
Rumor number 2. There's been further talk that Mr. Kurt Angle could be used as the new GM of Monday Night Raw, possibly as an immediate replacement for Foley. So, in my opinion, I could definitely see this happening. If you saw the last Raw, things don't look so promising for Foley.
Well, they do not.
I could see him either being fired or quitting or whatnot, but Kurt Angle's right around the corner, and it'd be an easy role for him to slip right into without needing to wrestle right away.
I totally agree. With Foley leaving, and I mean, I can't see him staying maybe past next week. I can imagine Stephanie calling him to the ring and probably doing the whole Vince McMahon thing, saying "you're fired."
Oh yeah,
something like that, right?
Possible.
Could very well happen. And then that'll be 2 weeks till WrestleMania. So then it'll just be Steph for the next 2 weeks. The next 2 weeks, just Stephanie.
Your favorite?
Well, I just love when she's on the TV screen. But any case, yeah, I totally think it's a very easy transition to bring in Kurt Angle. He's a fresh, old school, but obviously a fresh face as well. Mm-hmm. A lot of the new fans know of him, but they unless they maybe watched Impact over the last.
I think him being an Impact
years,
helped. It probably helped.
Probably, but they're really not. They haven't been pulling in any kind of ratings in the last 5 years.
They are the top company when it comes to wrestling.
Who?
TNA, Impact Wrestling. Nah.
I was going to say, you've got to be kidding me. I was just listening to a podcast today that said that they were only pulling in roughly about 300,000 views. So that'd be like a 0.3 rating.
That's like less than half of Winnipeg.
It's like a tenth of what Raw is pulling in.
Jeez.
Which says a lot. So, they rebranded themselves as Impact. So, but anyhow, getting back to Kurt Angle, he is, he's a fresh face. I think he would do great. He can talk. He's funny, but he can also be serious when he needs to be. So, and he doesn't come off, unfortunately, I hate to say this about Mick Foley, who is really a legend, but he doesn't really come off as a joke. You know what I mean?
No, agreed.
Because Foley's kind of been, his whole being this commissioner role, it's kind of been a joke the last how many months?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, he's always had some comedy to him.
Yeah.
I think the only time he never had comedy was maybe Cactus Jack and Early Mankind.
Early Mankind. Oh, man, Early Mankind was awesome.
That was gold.
That was gold.
That was great stuff. That's actually my favorite of all of Foley.
Yeah. Well, when he first came in, he just owned The Undertaker over and over and over again. Nobody did that.
I don't remember how he transitioned into the lovable Mankind, but yeah, before you knew it, he was taking a sock out of his pants and teaming up with The Rock. So
that was a couple of years after that, I think, actually. But
yeah,
in any case, yeah, it wasn't. It certainly wasn't the original Mankind that came up in the WWF for sure. Okay. Rumor number 3. The Wrestling Observer notes WWE has been contacting women, I'm guessing women wrestlers, about a taping in mid-May for this long-rumored women's wrestling tournament.
So I guess it would be something like the UK tournament or the 205 Live Cruiserweight tournament.
Cruiserweight tournament, probably, yeah.
Yeah, it could be good. I think they're lacking. Actually, my wife brought up last night that Raw seems to be really lacking women. You got 4 women essentially on Raw. Am I incorrect about this?
I guess there's technically 5.
Okay, who's the 5th?
Dana Brooke.
Oh, there is Dana, and they seem to be maybe getting into
our
her
favorite Dana Brooke.
Yeah. Which we'll be discussing on Raw.
That's correct.
The Raw recap. But really, it's all Charlotte,
sure.
Bayley, Sasha, Nia right now. So
yeah.
Whereas SmackDown seems to have a little bit more, I believe.
I think they've got 6.
Yeah.
I think they've got 6 altogether, which, I mean, doesn't really sound like that much more.
It's one more feud, more match.
It's one more match, and the one interesting thing about pretty much all of those women's wrestlers on SmackDown is that they can all kind of almost interchangeably feud with one another, and it's still interesting. So whereas on Raw, like it really is like Charlotte is just so good. She just overpowers and just overshadows the other, I guess, 4 wrestlers really.
Right.
Yeah. Dana Brooke showed a little bit of intensity today, this past week on Raw, which was.
Yeah, I just don't know enough about her yet.
Yeah.
We know very little about her.
Yeah. I mean, she was in. I remember seeing a little bit of her in NXT. She was actually with Emma. I guess Emma's coming back too.
Yeah.
So there's another. So that'll be 6 wrestlers too.
Good point.
Yeah. So I guess we'll see what happens. But that's kind of neat. I mean, there's lots of women's wrestlers out there.
And Eva Marie is rumored to be coming back to SmackDown, I believe.
Could be. Yeah. Well, she was on SmackDown before. So I guess it would make sense for her to go back to SmackDown for sure.
Okay, next rumor. Now this one may be an invalid rumor. As of today, I heard different things, but Chris Jericho is expected to drop the United States Championship to KO at Wrestlemania, as Jericho has recently announced his plans to tour with his band Fozzy in May. I read an article today, and I think we touch on this near the end of our rumors, that he may be sticking around longer than expected. So I wouldn't doubt if Jericho lost the belt to Kevin Owens, but we may be seeing our guy longer than expected. And
yeah, I'm okay with that.
So am I.
For sure.
He's doing well right now.
He's doing really well as he was great as a heel. He's doing pretty good right now as a face. Still has kind of some heel qualities. Just in the way he speaks and
I don't even want to say anti-hero, but just a face that is a funny jerk.
Yeah, the funny jerk face.
The funny jerk face. Yeah,
the funny jerk face. That kind of works. Yeah,
He could probably call himself the jerk face, and everyone would cheer it.
Jerk face, jerk face.
Oh yeah,
you're a jerk face.
Drink it in, man.
Yeah. I'm a jerk face. Drink it in, man. Side note, I was actually listening to some Fozzy quite recently. I was listening to their album from... What was that about?
Not a Fozzy fan.
No, hey?
No. Big Jericho fan, not a Fozzy fan.
Not a big Fozzy fan?
No.
But yeah, no, I was listening to their album from 2012. I can't off the top of my head remember what it was called. But a few really heavy songs, a couple lighter songs, which... I guess I had never listened to that album before, and I wasn't expecting it. Good. It was good stuff.
Did he sing "Don't You Wish You Were Me"?
No.
Which is the only song I know of him.
They've got a couple of good songs. They do a really good cover of what's it called? "Where Eagles Dare." It's an Iron Maiden song.
Okay.
And because their first couple albums are all covers. So, anyways, they do a really cool cover of "Where Eagles Dare."
Their first couple albums are all covers?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, do you know much about Fozzy?
No.
So when they first started, Jericho got together with the members of Stuck Mojo. And if anyone's listening and they want to correct me on the timelines here, you can go ahead and do it. But in any case, he got together with these guys from this band Stuck Mojo. And they started just jamming. And when they first started, they actually called themselves Fozzy Osbourne. And I think they had if I'm not wrong, which I might be, I don't know, but they even, on their very first album, I think they actually had a picture of Fozzie Bear on it, like from the Muppets.
Right.
In any case, they were just doing all covers. And then I think for their second album, they actually created these personas where, like Jericho, I don't remember the other guy's name, but Jericho's name was Moon Goose McQueen.
Right.
And what the story was that these guys, this was actually a band from like the 80s who wrote all these songs, went to Japan, and somehow got like stranded in Japan, and all their songs that they wrote ended up getting recorded by other artists. So what you're hearing on the albums are like the songs in their original forms, the way they should always have been heard, more or less.
That's interesting.
so I think that went on for maybe 2 albums, and I think maybe their third, maybe their 4th album, I don't remember exactly. but they started introducing their own music. And then I think probably by their 4th or 5th album, because they have like 7 or 8 albums, I think. By their 4th or 5th album, it was like straight up all original songs, and they got rid of the goofy characters and the storyline and what have you, and they just started being like a straight up rock band.
I think they still go by their goofy names, though.
No.
No?
No.
What does he call himself? Chris Irving?
No, Chris Jericho.
Oh, he goes by his wrestling name.
Yeah, goes by.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, goes by Chris Jericho, and then Rich Ward is the guitar player. He's kind of like the I think he writes most of the songs and and this and that. They call him the Duke.
Oh, I
Yeah.
still thought that he was still going by Moon Goose
No,
McQueen.
that's got to be probably 7 or 8 years, maybe more.
Eric's living in the past.
But anyways, there's one really good song if you haven't heard. It's called "To Kill a Stranger." It's really good too. You should check it out.
I will.
Do it.
I will.
Okay.
Promise you.
Anywho, if he sticks around past May or past WrestleMania, I'm all for that.
As am I.
Yeah, Jericho's gold right now.
Yep. Next up, there's some concern within the World Wrestling Entertainment about Monday Night Raw failing to sell out on the road to WrestleMania. I myself am not surprised because, as we had mentioned last week, there's really not that much to, I dare say, look forward to. Actually, I don't think we discussed it last week. We actually will probably touch on it a little bit this week.
Mm-hmm.
We will we'll talk about it a little bit regarding our topics of discussion. But to make things short, I find that you could count on one hand at most the matches that we're really excited for. I don't know.
Like going towards WrestleMania?
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest, I am excited. I'm actually excited for probably 2 matches on the WrestleMania card.
Yeah.
The others I am okay with for the most part, but I would say probably only 2, maybe 3.
I could see my attention veering in a lot of these matches.
Well, especially as we talked about last week, if they're thinking about doing like a 7-hour WrestleMania event.
We all know what, like, you remember what happened last year, right?
Yeah, like come on, 6 hours, 7 hours, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm not surprised either that the road to WrestleMania events aren't being sold out.
The storylines, for the most part, with some exceptions, aren't strong enough.
They're definitely lacking, and when you're still continuing to push a guy that clearly nobody wants to see.
Yep.
It's so vividly clear that nobody wants this guy to be the guy.
They're harming themselves, really.
Absolutely. I mean, with stuff like that, you're not surprised that they're having trouble selling tickets on these Raws and these shows leading up to WrestleMania. Yeah, It's easy as that. Okay, so based on the next rumor here, based on what Big Show has been telling fans, Rusev may be getting shoulder surgery soon, hence taking time off. Maybe that's the reason for the squash at Fastlane, right?
Maybe it's all coming together now.
It's all kind of making sense, right? Because I mean, you're not going to put the guy over when you know he's going to be out for possibly several months. It's too bad though, because I've been digging the Rusev character.
Yeah, but you know what? If he's going to be gone for a while, I guess he could. That match didn't really harm him because he'll come back and they could start him from scratch. Yeah, no big deal.
People will kind of forget, that he lost 6 months ago to the Big Show at Monday Night Raw. Sorry,
Sunday Night Raw.
Raw. Yeah, it was Sunday Night Raw.
Sunday Night Raw.
Exactly. So no, I mean, so it's probably not necessarily a bad thing that he's taking the time off, and who knows, maybe it's been a nagging injury for a while, and it's just gotten to the point where it's like, you know what, I'm gonna take the time off now, get this thing fixed, and maybe maybe even be repackaged slightly. I don't know. It's hard to say. But but he's got the talent. You could easily throw him into some sort of a feud. You know, he comes back and maybe he'll restart the feud with Hardbody Mahal.
You never know.
That could be exciting.
Yeah. Probably not. Based on what we saw at Fastlane.
Yes, no.
Sunday Night Raw.
We will forever refer to it now as Sunday Night Raw.
Sunday Night Raw.
Yeah. And any pay-per-views going forward that are like that, where it just feels like another episode of Raw, Sunday Night Raw.
Sunday Night Raw.
Yeah.
Up for the next rumor?
I'm ready.
It's a big rumor.
Oh.
ESPN will apparently have a big presence at Wrestlemania 33, according to CageSideSeats.com.
So when they say a big presence, are they going to have like lots of reporters, or is it going to be almost like a cross-promotional type thing? I wonder what they actually mean.
I have a strange feeling this is somehow linked to all of these Hall of Fame inductee announcements we've had recently, where it was leaked by ESPN.
ESPN, and well, it wasn't just ESPN.
No, there was a few others.
ESPN, TMZ, Bleacher Report.
Yeah.
A few different ones. So.
Well, I guess we'll
find out. I guess we'll find out. I mean, they do have
maybe not.
Yeah, maybe
we'll never know.
Maybe ESPN. Maybe it's just a rumor. But I mean, they do kind of have a working relationship with ESPN. Like the coach has a little section on ESPN where he chats about wrestling.
He could have easily been the in actually for that.
In what?
Like he got ESPN and WWE.
Oh, I think he was pretty integral with that.
I think so.
Yeah. All right. Next up here, with Finn Balor back and Chris Jericho now a babyface, and as we already discussed, possibly planning to stick around, Sami Zayn isn't expected to be featured in any high-profile angles on Raw moving forward. I mean, I feel bad for the guy.
I got a big smile on my face.
Yeah, not a big fan of...
He's annoying, man. I don't know. I'm just not a big Sami Zayn
Not
guy.
a big Sami fan?
You know what? Some of the things he does is interesting. But the thing is, he does the same thing every night. He's just... I don't know. You can only watch so many flying flips over the rope and, so many strange dances up to the ring. And I don't know.
Kind of reminds me a bit of one of the headbangers from back in the day.
He's like a hipster underdog headbanger.
Yeah, he is. He is a hipster underdog headbanger.
It also bothers me, and we've discussed this, that there's a lot of rumors that outside of wrestling, he's a bit of a jerk face. So I don't know.
Do you think does that change your opinion of him? Like if you hadn't heard any of these interviews, like because he's been on Talk with Jericho a couple of times.
He also doesn't really seem like a big time. He never really looked like he was going to make it to the top.
You don't think so?
No, I don't. When I saw him the first time, I didn't. Well, the first time I saw him, he fought. Help me out here. I was on NXT.
Oh, Nakamura.
That
was the first time you'd ever seen him?
Yes. I believe so. First match, at least.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And the match was pretty good. But when he came to the WWE, like when he came to Raw, I just didn't have the feeling like the other guys. When I saw Kevin Owens, I knew he was gonna get there. Some people didn't think he was gonna get the belt, because he beat Cena in his first match.
Yeah.
That's a pretty strong thing. But he kind of had a little bit of a dip. But I always had this feeling like Kevin Owens was gonna make it. I didn't feel the same way about Sami Zayn. I just don't know what it is.
Yeah. And I can definitely see part of that. Like, definitely, like, when KO first came into the main roster, like, I didn't really see a lot of his stuff in NXT. To be honest, I hadn't really seen a whole heck of a lot of NXT up to that point. But yeah, when Kevin Owens came to the main roster, exactly, had a great match with Cena, was put over, like, right away. It was a big match right away. He was the Intercontinental Champion almost instantly. He held that belt and he defended it, and he was definitely probably a stronger IC champion to an extent than he was a Universal Champion, because he lost a lot of matches as the Universal Champion.
Yeah.
But in any case, going back to him first coming in, yeah, like you saw something in him, though, just the way he spoke, the way he carried himself. He was going to be a big deal.
Right.
Whereas Sami Zayn, I don't think he deserves to be the enhancement talent to the stars as much as he has been, and just I don't think he deserves to be Kevin Owens' whipping boy as he's been over the past year.
Oh, he certainly has been.
I mean, especially in the last month or so, he was destroyed.
I think twice in a row.
By Kevin Owens, twice in a row. Absolutely. Like I certainly don't think he deserves that. But that said, I don't see him, at least the way it is right now or the foreseeable future, as a top guy. But I can see him feuding for like a U.S. title, or if he was over on SmackDown. For
he might get that.
Title.
He won't be in the main event picture.
No, I agree. I don't really see him in the main event. You could still be have a high profile angle, and it might actually even bring a little bit more shine to the mid card belts, because like right now you kind of even. Like, the feuds are so good between, like, Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho. You don't even need the U.S. title.
Right.
Like, the U.S. title is just a prop. You don't even need it. On SmackDown, you've got the feud right now between Ambrose and our boy Baron Corbin. And, again, you don't really need the belt. I don't even think Ambrose has defended the belt in well over 30 days, which kind of means, shouldn't he not have the belt anymore?
That's correct.
He should have been stripped of the belt long ago.
Strip him of the belt.
It's over. Done.
It's over.
Shane McMahon, Bryan Danielson. I don't know why I said your real name, sir.
Dean Ambrose versus Hardbody Mahal, WrestleMania.
Book it.
Saturday Night Raw.
Are we bringing back Shotgun Saturday Night?
Heat. We're bringing Heat back, just like last week.
Oh, Sunday Night Heat. Hardbody Mahal versus Dean Ambrose this week on Velocity.
We keep plugging these. That was last week's podcast.
These defunct B and C shows.
Our fans are like, what are these guys talking?
Anybody that hasn't been watching wrestling for probably 10 years now or less has probably never seen an episode of any of these.
All I used to get in the country was Heat and things like that.
Is that right?
Recaps of well, now what is it? It's called Today in WWE or something like that.
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
well, there's a main event. Like there's the main event show.
Yeah, but they don't do just straight recaps.
No, I don't think they do.
No, I think Today in WWE they just recap everything.
Everything, yeah.
In a half-hour show or.
Oh, is that right? That's so probably on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably watch. You probably don't even need to watch the show anymore. Just watch it on YouTube.
Exactly. Now that everyone has the internet.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyhow, yeah. So Sami Zayn not going to be featured in any high-profile angles on Raw going forward.
Next up, Lana is expected to focus on wrestling in NXT while Rusev is out of action rehabbing from the shoulder surgery. Say that 3 times. Also, according to The Observer, we had just mentioned Rusev earlier, but he will likely, in fact, miss WrestleMania 33. So that's too bad for him.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
missing the big show.
Yeah. Well, at this point,
we both know what
show.
He lost to the big show, and he probably would have been in that battle royal.
Yeah, guaranteed, because there's no real feud, and I don't see Rusev versus Mahal being booked on as like a singles match at WrestleMania.
It's been a good thing for him to win, though. That battle royal, they could have made Rusev win. Why not? I know it kind of gives you a little bit, but I would have liked to have seen him win that at least.
Yeah. I mean, it hasn't really done much for the previous guys, but it totally could.
Yeah, Cesaro would have been the closest, and then they did nothing with him for the. He's kind of gone up a little bit, but as more of a tag team.
Yeah, and then the Big Show won it the second year, and I mean the Big Show really hasn't gone up in stock or or
Yeah.
anything in the last several years.
Well, exactly. And then the next one was Baron Corbin.
Is Baron Corbin.
And just recently he's been having a push, but there was a major gap there.
No, he hardly got any shine from the winning the Battle Royal.
He barely mentioned it for a while.
No. So, I mean, yeah, it's unfortunately really just an excuse for these guys to get all these guys on the show. In fact, like we talked in previous weeks, the Big Show was going to hopefully go against in a match against Shaq, which a lot of people I don't think really wanted to see, us included. But it would have at least been a high-profile match. There would have been a lot of mainstream coverage because Shaq was in it. And now it appears he's going to be thrown back into the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, which is unfortunate because he was going to have a moment or a match where he was going to be the center of attention and was actually going to probably get a lot of exposure. And now, I mean, I guess the Big Show's never really lost in the shuffle. But he's just in a match with a bunch of other guys again. Yep. So I feel for him. Feel bad for him. Getting back to Lana, she's actually wrestled a few times recently for NXT. And apparently she's looking pretty good ring-wise. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think I saw a photo of her kicking a bag, and she looked pretty good.
Yeah. No, I think she wrestled at one of the live events just last week, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. So she's getting back in there. And I would presume with her wrestling in NXT like this, it'll probably bring her back into, maybe she'll become like a full-time women's wrestler as well. Because she could be a valet and a wrestler. She could do both. Why not?
Good point.
She could feud.
She could.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's kind of cool. All right. Getting back to when you said shoulder surgery. Previously, when we were talking about Rusev, we have it written down. He's going to be getting shoulder surgery soon. It's like 3 S's in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. When I said that, I was just like, please do not let me screw this up.
It's a tongue twister.
It's a tongue twister. Speaking of tongue twisters, try to say this 5 times fast. Red leather, yellow leather.
Red leather, yellow leather. Red leather, yellow leather.
Well done.
Is this like, are you just like kind of flowing into the next rumor with Kane wearing his red leather?
How dare you ruin my rumor?
I just teased your my co-host's rumor, everyone.
Oh, my favorite wrestler. Yeah. So anyhow, Kane.
No. The big red machine Kane.
Oh my goodness. The Demon Kane.
Isaac Yankem.
Fake Diesel.
the Christmas creature.
Or
the Christmas creature was Kevin Nash.
I think that was Kevin Nash.
Whatever. Same person.
Oh, they're just clones. All right. Here's the second to last. No, what am I talking about? Second to last.
Not yet.
We've got a few to go here still. But anyway, Kane's been away from WWE to spend more time on his insurance business and to prepare for a run for mayor. Why is this?
It's hilarious.
Why can't we get past this? Run for mayor of Knox County, Tennessee. Per a report.
I'm just picturing him wearing his cane costume, running for mayor.
Ladies and gentlemen, the mayor of Knox County, Tennessee, Kane. They
have to hire Finger 11 wherever he walks.
Yeah, every time he opens a door, flames shoot out and Finger 11 starts playing.
A building burns down every time Kane walks through it. In all seriousness, besides where he's running for, I've heard Glenn Jacobs is possibly one of the smartest pro wrestlers, like individuals that's been in wrestling maybe ever, especially according to what Daniel Bryan has said in the past. Very, very smart person.
Yeah, well, apparently, I mean, it sounds like he's almost on par with JBL because JBL is huge into finances. I think he's actually married to some sort of financial executive or somebody on Wall Street. I can't remember exactly, but this is JBL. I mean,
doesn't Glenn Jacobs, doesn't he also do like seminars regarding? I don't think it's a religion, but it's something else. I don't recall.
I don't think
it's not a religion.
No, I don't believe so. I think it is finances.
Is it? Okay.
I think so. A lot of these guys too get into real estate.
Okay.
So they're not I don't know if they go as like realtors. They're selling houses. I'm not really sure exactly, but yeah. So I mean, that's kind of cool. He's got his insurance business. Obviously, like we said, a smart guy. I'm sure he wears the corporate Kane getup. I'm sure he's not wearing the red tights and the mask with the fake hair on the back. Although I can't say for sure.
He pulls off his mask while he's running for mayor.
His face is all burnt. Look at my face.
Choke slams his opponent.
There's nothing wrong with your face, Kane.
All right, next up, guys. Impact, TNA. What do you want to call it? Impact Wrestling?
Well, it's no longer TNA.
All right.
TNA has been written off the books, so.
Impact Wrestling's reason for legal action against the Hardy Boys, sources tell PW Insider, is to collect royalties from their use of the broken gimmick elsewhere, not because they plan on using it on Impact.
Mm-hmm.
I could see Impact Wrestling doing this. They're probably very concerned that they could use it at a certain, I don't know, World Wrestling Entertainment per se, or maybe even they're using it at Ring of Honor, are they not?
You know what? I was listening to another show today, and I don't believe they are actually using like the broken gimmicks.
Oh, are they slightly modifying it?
I'm not exactly sure. I haven't seen the Ring of Honor shows, unfortunately, but it sounds like they're not actually using the broken stuff, which might possibly be because of the whole legal stuff. Like, it's all just coming out. It's coming out right now that there's these cease and desist orders, if that's what they are, or these legal type of things that are coming up. Maybe the Hardys got wind of this before the Ring of Honor matches, so maybe that's why they're not using it. But yeah, like the broken Matt Hardy and the brother Nero, and like those names aren't being used at all during the Ring of Honor stuff anyhow.
We're just looking as we were discussing here,
Yeah.
and Glenn Jacobs talks about economics.
Okay, yeah, finances,
A lot
money.
of business.
Yeah.
He's been part of the LPAC seminar. I'm not exactly sure what that stands for.
The Ladies Pro Golf Association? No, that's LPGA. That's the wrong one.
Yeah.
Something different.
Cool. But yeah. So I guess let's see where Impact Wrestling goes with this. I don't think they're gonna win that. But,
I certainly don't see them using the gimmick at all.
No.
I mean, you can't just give a gimmick like that to anybody. It's just not going to work. It's Matt Hardy's baby. He created it. He's basically perfected whatever character this is, which makes sense because, again, he's the one that created it.
Yeah.
So I don't think somebody else can just jump in and take over. It just does. I just don't think it works. I can kind of see why they would be using, I can kind of see why Impact would say, you can't use this, the intellectual property of it.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of talked about this last week or a couple of weeks ago rather, that likely they can keep the name, maybe they can hold on to the name of like the broken, but I don't think they can necessarily steal the gimmick or hold on to the gimmick. But it almost sounds like that's actually what's happening, hey? Not necessarily the broken name, but the gimmick itself, hey?
Yeah, I think Rick actually had mentioned that a few weeks ago.
We were talking about that a couple weeks ago, exactly, yeah. So I don't know. It's interesting to see where it goes. I think it's a total bummer. Like, I was totally hoping to potentially see the whole broken Matt Hardy gimmick in WWE, but oh well. We'll see what happens, I suppose. Alrighty. Second to last rumor here for today. Kurt Angle was in Pittsburgh yesterday, prompting online speculation that he might be on SmackDown. That was never the plan, and he did actually leave before the show started. He was at the arena filming footage for his upcoming WWE 24 special.
Yeah, I think I saw a photo online of somebody caught him in an SUV, and he was making some goofy face to him, and I guess the person that took this photo originally said, gotcha, and he thought he was going to be on SmackDown or Raw or whatnot, but no, it was just for that WWE 24 special. Actually, I think you and I were just discussing this right before the podcast.
That wasn't the WWE. That wasn't the 24 special. Although I'm sure some of this footage might be kind of like reused for that. But there's this show on the WWE Network after Raw. It's called Bringing It to the Table, I think is what it's called. It's hosted by. Actually, it's Peter Rosenberg, who is a radio guy from California, I believe.
Okay.
But he also has a podcast called Cheap Heat, which is on the I think it's an ESPN related Grantland is what it's called. This is kind of like this network of media. But anyways, he's on there on this Cheap Heat. But he's also been doing some of the like pay-per-view shows, like with Renee Young and Booker T and those people. So his name's Peter Rosenberg. So I think he's hosting this not Beyond the Mat, this Bringing It to the Table. So, and Corey Graves is on it, and someone else as well. So, and then anyways, they're chatting, kind of like almost like in a radio style atmosphere. And then Corey Graves actually had a sit-down interview with Kurt Angle. And then they showed some footage of Kurt Angle and Vince McMahon actually meeting each other for the first time in like 11 years, since I guess 2006. Probably since they went their separate ways. They probably haven't spoken really, or probably even all of this stuff with the Hall of Fame and what have you. It's probably all done through Triple H, to be honest.
It sounds like he was going through Triple H for the most part, based on all of the other rumors we've read.
I think
over the last year or two.
Triple H is like he's pretty much the man. Right,
the middleman, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. So, but anyhow, yeah. So that's probably going to be on the WWE. What is it called again? WWE 24 special.
Yeah.
But if that was yesterday, then yeah, it wouldn't have been this other thing, because this other thing already showed.
That'll be a good one. Some of those 24s are pretty good. Some of them are about Roman Reigns, so they're not always that good. So.
You know what was actually really interesting? I don't know if you saw it or not, but it was called this ESPN that has this thing called 30 for 30, and they had one a few weeks ago. It was, or maybe it was in January. Anyhow, it was on the XFL.
Oh yeah, I listened to the entire podcast, and I watched that 1.5 times.
Oh.
Yeah, it was really, really good.
Yeah, it was good.
30 for 30, is that the same one that also did the Scott Hall?
Yes, they did. Yeah, that was the same one.
That was a good one.
Same one.
Not as long, though.
No, this one was only...
No, the XFL one was much longer than... Scott Hall's was a half hour, I think.
Yeah, this one was an hour, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was, and then the same people are also... I don't think it's come out yet. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think it's more than an hour, James.
The XFL one?
Yeah, I think there was a lot on that.
I don't recall. I don't remember it being that long. It was super well done.
Yeah, it was.
Regardless.
But. And the guy that wrote that, the son of not Vince, but the Vince.
The other guy, yeah, Ebersol.
I believe that was Ebersol's son.
I believe so. Charlie Ebersol. Yeah.
Charlie was very nervous, and he asked permission from Vince, and this was on Jericho's podcast. I believe it was Jericho. Yeah. Anyways, he asked Vince and his dad for permission, and he demonstrated what he was going to do.
Okay.
And he didn't think they were going to like it, and they loved it. Vince said, "Don't change a thing." Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, he made a presentation for them and everything.
Wow. Well, because it doesn't really put like the whole situation in a very good light at all.
No.
And I mean, it wasn't a good situation overall, right? The whole XFL thing, it was a total disaster. And I remember watching a little bit of the XFL, and I thought it was okay. I had a hat. I actually had an XFL hat at one point. I can't remember which team it was. It was a giant H on the front. That's all I remember.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, guys, if you want to hear anything about the XFL besides the show we were just discussing, the podcast is This Was the XFL on Talk is Jericho.
Nice.
It was very good. Yeah, it's with
that was Charlie Ebersol?
Yeah, Charlie Ebersol, I believe. So cool. Yeah, this is let's see here. Without it playing on my phone, let's see what we got here. Yeah. Yep, with Charlie Ebersol.
Cool.
That's cool. That was
Nice.
January 25th, 2017. So fairly recent.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Another 30 for 30 that I can't remember if it's already been on or it's coming up. But anyways, on Ric Flair.
Okay.
Be interested to watch that one as well.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
All right, guys. One more to go. According to PW Insider, who yesterday reported William Regal was to be inducted into the 2017 Hall of Fame. Well, according to PW Insider, that is no longer the case. William Regal is apparently no longer expected to be added to the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2017.
Yeah, it's a shame, but there's a couple of big names in there already. So, unfortunately, I do see him kind of being overshadowed a little bit.
He's still active in the company.
Yeah, true.
And it
That's
seems,
true too.
because of that, it feels too soon, regardless of his age.
Yeah, but well, you could argue Kurt Angle is going to be involved with the company again.
You're right. Yeah, and you're right. And anyone that has been inducted keeps coming back anyways, right?
Everybody
Does that
comes
mean we're
back.
not going to ever see Austin or Hogan, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, we see
Michaels.
How many times have we seen Shawn Michaels? I mean, he's never
Right.
wrestled.
Right.
He hasn't wrestled, and none of these guys have actually wrestled. But
Has there been anyone, James, that's been inducted into the Hall of Fame that's come back as pretty much a full-time wrestler?
I don't think so.
I don't think it's happened,
No, I don't think so. It's basically like once you are in the Hall of Fame, you're kind of looked at it as
Legends. Like you might have a Legends contract, right? Like Nash did a little while ago.
yeah, like you're not going to come back as an active wrestler for the most part. I wouldn't think. I can't think of anybody.
It'd be a little unusual.
It would be. I mean, it's like any other Hall of Fame. Like these in baseball, for example. These baseball players, they're eligible to be in the Hall of Fame. I think it's 5 years after you retire. And then you're eligible for 10 years after that. So, and then they have this writers association.
So you're eligible for the Hall of Fame 5 years after you retire?
Correct.
And 10 years is what?
And then what happens is that every year the Baseball Writers Association of America, I think is who does it. They actually vote on a list of guys that they feel should be in the Hall of Fame. And if a certain percentage, I think it's like 85% or 80% of people vote for you, then you make it into the Hall of Fame.
Do they do this every year? Or
They
every
do this
5?
every single year.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
every year. So, for example, this past year, there's one player his name's Tim Raines.
Right.
He's been retired for, I guess, 15 years or so. So the 5 years went on after he retired, and then on year number 6, I guess, after he retired, he was on the list of guys that could potentially be voted to be in the Hall of Fame, but he didn't quite make the percentage to actually be inducted. And that happened every single year. This past year was his very last year of eligibility because it's been 10 years since the process started. He's getting in, which is awesome.
Okay.
And he's going in, from what I understand, as a Montreal Expo, which is really cool. But he's been retired for years. Same thing with football, same thing with hockey, with all the major sports. Like you're retired, you're done. Maybe you're coaching now, maybe you're out of the business altogether, but you're not wrestling still. I mean, you're not still playing the sport.
Sure.
So for a Hall of Fame, it would be very odd to still be like an active wrestler and be in the Hall of Fame. Bizarre.
Agreed.
And I can't think of anybody off the top of my head. Again, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm fairly certain. But Kurt Angle could be the exception. I sure hope so.
I'd like to see him come
I really
back,
want to see
do
him
some
in
matches
there.
for sure.
Me too.
Okay, that's everything for Rumors of the Week, James.
We need to find some like rumors, like theme music that we can.
So last week you wanted symbols, now you want theme music?
Yeah.
What next? What we're going to hear next week, ladies and gents?
Next
Shadow
week,
puppets. Different kinds of shadow puppets that represent rumors.
what I'll do is I'll do an interpretive dance. You won't be able to see it, but you'll be able to hear it.
Yeah. Well, I won't be here next week, our fans. It'll be James and possibly Tyler.
Possibly Tyler.
So,
Yeah, I'm thinking about putting a poll up on our Twitter page, RGW Podcast, because apparently Tyler is not a huge fan of being referred to as the Mind. So we got to come up with some sort of additional moniker for him.
I think I want to call him the Mind of Wrestling even more now.
Oh,
actually.
yeah. The Mind of Wrestling. Well, maybe if we called him the Mind of Wrestling, he wouldn't mind it. But he doesn't. I don't think he likes to be referred to just as the Mind, which I don't really understand.
The Brain? Piggy and the Brain?
Tyler the Brain. What are we going to do this week, Brain?
We're going to talk about wrestling.
What we do every week, Pinky. Talk about wrestling.
All right, James, on to our topics of discussion for the week. One thing I really wanted to talk about this week was actually something that was discussed on Killing the Town, and it's related to crowd chants. Now, specifically, I'm thinking NXT because NXT has gotten to a stage where they're known for this. But what's your thoughts? Can chants from a crowd give a company a false view on a particular superstar? So what I'm talking about is here's examples of some superstars: Ty Dillinger, Tyler Breeze, and Apollo Crews. So let's get Ty Dillinger. Mm-hmm. He comes out in NXT and everyone is doing the 10 chants over and over and over again through his match, right till he's done. Heck, they say it sometimes when other people are in the ring and he's not even around. These guys come to Raw or to SmackDown and you could hear crickets. The crowd just doesn't dig them. What's your thoughts on these chants? Because I find them to be a little obnoxious. Sometimes they're fitting, but other times, I was just talking about NXT. Well, let's go over to Raw now. I am tired. I used to love it. I am tired of hearing "This is awesome."
Oh,
this is awesome. And what's the other one they do a lot? Oh, the holy shit chant.
Yeah.
The holy shit.
Yeah.
I've been hearing holy shit chants for like somebody gets a big boot, like something fairly basic. Mm-hmm. And they're doing chants now for this stuff.
Yeah.
And CM Punk chants, right? Mm-hmm. They were doing that recently with Steph.
Yeah, they've done that. It's been a couple of times. I think a couple of times now. Like last week was the CM Punk chants because they were in Chicago, and there's always going to be the CM Punk chants in Chicago.
Right.
And I think being from Chicago, obviously, maybe it works there, but anywhere else, like this week, for example, at Raw, they weren't in. They weren't in Chicago. I don't know where they were. Next week they're in Brooklyn, but this week they weren't in Chicago. The CM Punk chants doesn't make any sense.
Well, they're copying Chicago because they've essentially started this right now. When Stephanie comes out, a lot of people probably aren't digging Stephanie, so they're just going to try and piss her off by doing it.
Yeah,
I don't know. Sometimes it fits. But other times, let's face it, they're just trying to take over the show. There's singing in the crowd in NXT. Like, it's ridiculous. When Nakamura fights, they sing his entrance. Yeah. I like his theme. I really do. Mm-hmm. I dig it. But I don't need the crowd to sing it while he wrestles.
Yeah, during the whole thing. Well, even like with Sami Zayn, you hear that ole, ole, ole thing all the time. And that's kind of I think that happens in Montreal.
Yeah, well, in Europe.
And a European thing for sure. They do that at soccer games and, football games for sure. But no, I agree. Like, I'm totally over all of these chants. I don't need to hear a holy chant anymore. I certainly don't need to hear the "This is awesome," especially when.
Well, they've ruined it.
Well, it used to be something like when it was an amazing match going on.
If Jeff Hardy jumps off the top of a 25-foot ladder onto someone, this is awesome.
This is awesome.
But
or last year at the Takeover event, Takeover Dallas, when it was Nakamura versus Sami Zayn, like it was an amazing, amazing match between those guys, and it was a longer match too, and the fans were really appreciating it, and they actually started chanting "Fight Forever."
Oh.
Because it's like we don't want this to end.
Okay.
So those types of chants work. Like a "This is awesome" chant, when it's something that is truly awesome, that's pretty cool. Or even the holy chant. When KO fell on that pyramid of chairs that he was doing. Like, I mean, maybe in a case like that, fine. But yeah, it doesn't. But sometimes it happens when something very mediocre happened, and the crowd is just this is awesome.
like, well, Big Show versus Bryan, we like that match. A lot of people do. They didn't need to do "This is awesome"
No.
for that, though. Like, it was kind of strange.
Yeah, but it's interesting that with all of these different chants and everything, I was listening. You had mentioned "Killing the Town," and on one of their third or fourth episodes, maybe it was coming back from the they have their correspondent there. His name's Paul Lazenby. If you're familiar with him, he was in Japan and he was doing a report of the New Japan show, the Wrestle Kingdom, from back in January. And Japanese fans are very, very different. Like they clap. There's not a whole lot of chant. There's no chants really. There's some big cheers, but then when they're wrestling, lots of times it's just very quiet. They're almost sitting on their hands. And then when a big spot is hit or something, they're on their feet and they're cheering and they're clapping. But then it's back down again. That's the highs and lows, and the crowd kind of goes along for the ride in a way. But they definitely don't take over the show. There's none of that. Anyhow, Paul Lazenby was saying that he was sitting next to a guy that started doing this chant, and I can't remember exactly what the chant was, but he started this chant. No one around him was doing the chant, but he didn't seem like he was trying to take over the show or trying to bring attention to himself. He felt that the guy was actually quite genuine in that he thought that's how wrestling fans are supposed to act. So it may not necessarily be that people are trying to take over the show, but it's just that it's become so saturated that people are starting to believe that to show my appreciation and to show that we're having a good time, to show that we're, this and that, we have to do these chants. Otherwise they're not going to know we're enjoying it.
Well, it seems that way. Yeah, you're right.
But so I don't necessarily. I'm certain there are many people out there hijacking the show,
Yep.
just trying to bring attention to themselves, to make a spectacle of themselves. But
Especially the NXT crowd.
a lot of times the NXT
Things you hear in the crowd are ridiculous.
Yeah, you hear a lot of that. Stepping back to the company. Sorry, give these chants giving the company a false view on a superstar. I also believe that that's true.
Yep.
Like, you're right. You hear these 10 chants. When they were in Toronto, I think it was before the Royal Rumble. They were in Toronto, and Ty Dillinger was nowhere near the show, but because he's from Toronto, they were doing the 10 chants. Now, someone in the back might hear all of this, and I mean, to a certain extent, maybe they did catch that because he was in the Royal Rumble as one of the quote-unquote surprise entrants. But yeah, there were all these 10 chants. So when you're hearing these 10 chants, like, that seemed like they were almost taking over the show.
He came out to the Rumble. What was your thoughts on the crowd reaction?
It wasn't there.
Was pretty quiet.
It was not anything that you might expect after hearing all of these 10 chants in Toronto.
No.
Now, the same thing kind of goes for Apollo Crews. He was in NXT. They loved him there. There were huge chants for him. You know, lots and lots of cheering. But as that's shown on the big stage in WWE, that doesn't necessarily translate.
Correct.
Same thing with Tyler Breeze. Tyler Breeze, again, huge star. I don't know for sure, but he may have even been an NXT champion at one point. I don't actually remember. But obviously, very, very popular in NXT. Lots of chants, lots of cheering. Doesn't necessarily translate to WWE. So, even if you want to look at Sami Zayn, like you said,
Yeah.
he is popular to an extent.
Yeah, a little more than these other guys, but I was tempted to put him down, like list him, but he's popular enough whereas they could say, oh yeah, he was worth bringing over.
Mm-hmm.
Just the other three we just mentioned. Yeah, I don't know. Ty Dillinger has only been in the Rumble, so I can't really say much about him, but
You know what? I've seen him wrestling in NXT.
yeah.
And for me,
Yeah, I've seen him too.
he's decent, but I hate to say that I don't think he brings anything really, really special.
I don't see anything special. I see some people saying he needs to come over. I see more out of Sami Zayn by far than him.
And it's not that they're starving for wrestlers on either brand. Like maybe there's a little bit of starvation in star power per se, but not necessarily. They don't need to bring anybody up right now. They really don't need to. So.
Right.
All right. So to our next topic of discussion here: do wrestlers have to have a particular look nowadays to pass as a pro wrestler? Now, this was first discussed as well by Don Callis, Cyrus the Virus, on Killing the Town. What do you think? Do you think they need to have a specific look, a specific, do they have to have, is there a specific mold that they almost have to, fit in order to be successful?
So Don was pretty adamant about this on his podcast. He was saying that wrestlers should not look like they could easily be his barista. And I actually disagree with him. I don't. He was giving an example of when he grew up. When he was a young wrestler, he had the long hair. He had the expensive patent boots. He bought all of his clothing and whatnot. It was a lot of money, and he had a certain look to him. And he used Lance as an example, where he said Lance had the rat tail. He would have never have had the rat tail if he wasn't a pro wrestler, et cetera, et cetera. And I actually disagree with him. And we can see nowadays that there's certainly a lot of looks. There's the wrestlers with long hair. There's wrestlers with short hair. There's bald wrestlers, Stone Cold. He had no hair. Now, he certainly had a look to him. But just because someone may have, let's say, an undercut or a slick back or something like that, Sami Zayn, pretty plain Jane haircut. He's still a pro wrestler. You don't have to have a gimmick per se, a goofy look to you, in order to be a pro wrestler. But Callis was so adamant that you had to look extremely unique. I don't think that's the case. Like look at American Alpha. Those are pretty standard looking guys. One of the guy has long hair, but I don't know. Did you see where I'm going with this? I don't feel that if a wrestler just looks like a standard guy, if he can wrestle, who cares?
Yeah, I think to his point, I think there definitely needs to be some sort of a look. Now what that look is, like, there has to be some individuality for sure. Like, you don't want a whole bunch of guys running around with long hair and robes and patent leather boots.
Well, right. You don't want to look the same either.
You don't want all these guys to look exactly the same. But I do see his point in that,
But what is the definition of a look, right? Like, everyone's different.
Yes, but I think at the same time, like, pro wrestlers are supposed to kind of be larger than life.
Yeah, they're not. I see what your point. They're not mixed martial artists because they certainly get lost in the crowd. Like we know that.
Yeah, like they're entertainers, right?
Right.
And at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you've got this larger than life persona. Now, I think in a lot of ways that doesn't. It's not just your look. It's the air about you. It's the aura that you give off. It's it's the charisma. It's your.
I think he was talking about the physical look, though.
The physical look, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think because a guy like Chris Masters had an amazing physical look.
Yeah.
Big, beefy dude, good-looking guy, chiseled jaw, good haircut.
Sure.
Not the most charismatic guy you're going to see.
No.
And certainly never made it to near the top of the mountain. So yeah, the looks definitely vary. I don't think there is a cookie cutter look. Look at a guy like Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens certainly does not meet.
There's a good example.
The typical wrestler.
He's just a big guy with a beard and a normal haircut. There's really not much to Kevin Owens.
Like really, he looks like he could probably deliver your pizza or take out your garbage.
That's what I mean, though. That's actually a really good example. You named Kevin Owens. So it doesn't mean that you always have to have. He's an awesome wrestler. That's all it.
I think just like everything else, I don't think it falls right down to looks, which to your point, absolutely. Just your physical look on its own really means nothing because, like I'd said about Chris Masters, amazing look.
Yeah.
Didn't make it anywhere. Rene Dupree, amazing look. Had a terrible attitude backstage, from what I understand. Seemed to be a pretty good wrestler, but there's obviously something was holding him back because he never really made it past that upper arc, right? Either.
Yeah.
So the physical look obviously doesn't. It's not just the look. You got to have that whole package.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, on to our last topic of discussion for the night. Actually, we're going into MMA mode, James. MMA mode.
That's mixed martial arts, right?
Mixed martial arts.
Yes.
Specifically, the UFC.
Okay.
All right. Brendan Schaub recently posted on his Instagram a comment from Floyd Mayweather, who is not in the UFC, stating Floyd no longer wanted to hear any more excuses about the money, telling Conor McGregor to sign the required papers with the UFC so that they could finally proceed with their boxing match. I have two questions for you, James.
Sure.
Two questions.
Okay.
Will this match ever happen?
Okay.
And would this boxing match be bigger than a Conor McGregor versus George St. Pierre MMA fight?
Okay. Okay, so first of all, will it happen? I think it will.
Okay.
Actually, Floyd had I don't know if it was an official press conference, but he actually came out and said he's straight up coming out of retirement to fight Conor.
Yep.
He wants to get it done. He wants to fight in June.
Right.
So so now it's basically in Conor's court for his team to get something together so that they can actually fight in June. I do think the match is going to happen. To be honest, I think June seems a little soon though. Like we're already mid-March.
They got to get it done though sooner than later.
Sooner than later, for sure.
Keep the interest up.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I see the fight happening, and at this point, I think since Floyd has come out of retirement and said we're gonna fight, let's do this. It's really now up to McGregor has to do it.
He'd be crazy not to do this.
And the money. They would make so much money in this. It'd be a boxing match.
It'd be crazy. It'd be
but
enormous amount of money.
Oh, it'd be enormous amount of money. Is right. Yeah.
Conor could support Africa for years.
Yes. And Ireland.
Instead, he'll keep it all to himself.
He'll just probably buy like
Lots of fancy shoes.
an extra, like a Bentley for every day of the year. I think I'm going to go on this one now. I think I'll drive number 3 today.
Does he would sound like that?
I don't know why Conor McGregor sounds like he's one of the Beatles, perhaps.
Because that's the wrong accent.
My name is Conor McGregor, and I'm a big fan of the Beatles. Yeah, it's going to happen. Would it be bigger than a McGregor GSP fight? I think in a lot of ways it would be.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I think overall, I dare say there's more boxing fans still to this day. It was way bigger back in the day, but I think it would be.
Well,
Personally, not in my not to me,
mm-hmm.
but if you look at the world,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, probably.
I would agree. Look at how long ago was that when Floyd Mayweather
Wow.
Woo! Floyd Mayweather fought
Manny Pacquiao.
Pacquiao, yeah, like that was 2-3 years ago now. 3 years ago.
A couple years ago.
Couple
that
years
was
ago?
the most exciting fight I've ever seen. I
But-
would say if I was lying to you right now.
But at that point, people were saying boxing was dead already.
Right.
People were saying it was a dying sport, and mixed martial arts was taking over. It maybe had already even taken over. And I believe that to be true for the most part. But in a lot of ways, these, like, if there's a big fight in boxing, like, there's not too many of them left, I don't think, right now. But if there's a big fight in boxing, it somehow pulls in exponentially more than a UFC event does.
Right.
For sure. So I see Conor McGregor and Mayweather pulling in huge numbers.
Yeah, I will. It
Yeah.
really will, because it'll bring in fans from both boxing and mixed martial arts.
Yes.
So that's the big thing right
Yeah,
there.
absolutely. And Mayweather, as much as he's got some detractors and he's got a lot of people that hate his guts, he has got a huge following.
Yeah. No, he does.
Yeah.
You know, bad guys, people are attracted to bad guys, right?
Like they like the
Conor's a
heels.
bad guy.
Yeah.
People love Conor McGregor.
You know what? I don't.
You know?
I will love to see him get knocked out by Floyd Mayweather.
Really? Well, I'll be cheering for Conor.
Flayweather.
Not only for Conor, but more or less MMA versus boxing.
Yeah.
There's a lot behind this.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a boxing match, so it
will be,
he
yeah.
represents
MMA.
a mixed martial artist.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
anyways, yes, definitely it's going to happen, and it will be bigger than a McGregor GSP fight at this point.
yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. Okay. So now it seems like we're on to our second to last segment of the evening here. It's our review/recap of the Monday Night Raw from this past Monday night.
March 13th edition, 2017.
That is correct.
I got to say a date, guys. I got
Oh.
to say a date.
He's been just chomping at the bit to throw in a month and a day and a year.
All about the dates.
All right. All right. So anyways, how did Raw start here, Eric?
All right. So Raw started off with a Brock Lesnar Goldberg segment. They first started off with a simple recap of Fastlane. That match, of course, was between Brock and Goldberg, and followed by a recap of Lesnar giving Mr. Goldberg the F5 on Raw. So it basically went from Fastlane to Raw to present. So the show started off with Lesnar and Heyman in the ring, and Heyman seems to have a new saying. Down goes Goldberg. There's a lot of down goes throughout the segment. So Heyman is basically on his knees while Lesnar is giving the thumbs down, a la Batista almost, saying down goes Goldberg. And there was a lot of good quotes. Like he was saying, at WrestleMania, Lesnar will cause those so-called announcers to state, down goes Goldberg. So, I don't know. It was interesting. Very basic words, but very prominent.
Yeah, and I think it was effective as well. Like,
Yeah.
Like, it's simple, almost elementary, really.
Very elementary.
But effective. And I think that just kind of goes to show you that it doesn't need to be complicated in order for you to be engaged and to for you to be excited and interested in a program.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't need to be complicated at all. So anyhow, so then then of course the crowd started with the Goldberg chants, and Mr. Heyman said, well, at WrestleMania, he said, Goldberg's not here tonight, but my client Brock Lesnar is. That's my nice way of me telling all of you who chant Goldberg, shut the hell up, okay?
It was amazing.
It was really good.
The crowd cheered that.
They did cheer it because it was so good. He's the heel, but they liked it.
You just didn't expect him to go that route.
No, he didn't. He just kind of went out there, and it was almost like it was a bit of a shoot.
He simplified it very quickly.
Totally simplified it. So, yeah, it was good. And then he kind of went on to say, like you said, the going back, kind of like with some of the quotes, he said, "My vision of the future will be validated."
Yeah, basically. Reminding everyone that you may see Goldberg as something right now, but my vision will be Lesnar, superseding Bill Goldberg.
Exactly. And basically went and said F5 equals Lesnar goes up, down goes Goldberg.
Yeah, such elementary words.
Yes.
F5 equals Lesnar goes up.
Yeah.
Down goes Goldberg.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and effective.
Effective.
It was good. It was a good segment.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good opening.
Yeah, Goldberg wasn't around, but it worked.
Yeah, it worked. So yeah, but that works too, because now you're kind of interested in next week's Raw, of course, right?
Yeah.
Is there going to be interaction between Goldberg and Brock Lesnar next week? You'd almost think there will be, because we're really getting into the nitty gritty here, into the next couple of weeks here. I think it's 20 days they said on Monday.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So that's less than 3 weeks away.
Right around the corner.
Yes, right around the corner. Okay, after that segment, I like how you wrote in your notes here, Eric, Mick Foley and Stephanie segment number 1.
Number 1 of 4.
Oh.
The fourth one was the best, though.
Yeah. So they're in the back there, and Stephanie does this pretend apology to Mick Foley, and Foley, of course, acts as if he's falling for her shtick, and basically Steph says that you can't take these sorts of things personally. Foley's like, well, it was kind of personal though.
Yeah.
Yep, and basically said that he needs to pretty much step up as the Raw general manager, and she's giving him a bit of an assignment for a Monday night there.
Yep. Yeah, she basically tells Mick that his mission or assignment of the evening is to find one Monday Night Raw individual that he finds to be the weak link, and that he has to fire them live on Raw in front of everyone.
Yeah.
So that's his mission. He has to find one person, and he has to fire them by the end of the night.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And you could tell he obviously didn't like that very much, and that of course played out through the course of the evening.
I'd like to note that my initial guess was that he was, and I guaranteed it, was going to fire himself.
Mm-hmm.
I really thought he was going to fire himself.
Yeah.
But let's see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. So next we had our first match of the night. It was Sasha Banks versus our girl Dana Brooke. Yep.
So Sasha ended up winning with one of the first 2 standard roll-ups this evening. 2 matches ended the same way, very oddly enough, I must point out. But
I'm so sick of the roll-up.
Oh, it's just getting ridiculous.
Again, just to throw it out there. So there's the roll-up, and then it doesn't matter if they're a heel, doesn't matter if they're a face.
Yeah.
They roll them up, and then they scurry out of the ring.
Yeah. And she grabbed her tights. I didn't really notice it too much at first.
I didn't either, no, until Graves mentioned it. Hey, yeah.
Corey Graves pointed it out.
So he's a heel announcer, though, so I'm not quite sure if
She did grab her tights.
Did
though.
she? Did you?
She grabbed her top elastic and pulled it up.
Oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, sure. And that's infuriating too, because she's supposed to be the face in the match.
Yeah,
we've talked about this. She's obviously not listening to the podcast.
She's not. She needs to listen to us and get some tips.
She definitely needs some coaching, I think, in what it means to be a face. So if somebody's listening, please point Sasha Banks in the direction of the RGW podcast.
Exactly.
It'd be very much appreciated.
Her career will go further.
Okay, so exactly. So after that, of course, Charlotte, was at ringside with Dana Brooke. And she came into the ring and just started yelling at her, berating her in the ring, called her a disgrace, basically said to her exactly, "You think you're going to ride my coattails to WrestleMania? I'm finally getting rid of you."
Jeez. It was brutal.
It was pretty brutal. But what was kind of interesting is that at first, when she first was starting to be berated, Dana Brooke, of course, seemed like she was kind of cowering, like, "Oh, come on, please give me another chance." Like, you'd seen her face. She was kind of making those facial expressions. But as soon as Charlotte started saying, "You think you can ride my coattails to WrestleMania," the switch flipped, and you could tell she wasn't having any more of this. Nope.
Yeah, she went ballistic on Charlotte.
Went ballistic.
She was beating the tar out of her.
Yeah.
And the crowd was digging it.
They were digging it.
They did. The crowd actually started doing Dana chants. Mm-hmm. So let's see where that goes, because as a wrestler, I don't know much about Dana Brooke. So I can't even say that I'm excited for this.
Yeah, like I said, I know in NXT, she was a heel for sure.
Right.
And she was allied with Emma in NXT. So, and they were pretty dominant. I don't think she was ever a champion. I don't think Emma was either. I don't think either of them won the championship. But they were pretty dominant as a team in the women's division there in NXT. So yeah, we'll see where it goes. Corey Graves always has the great lines. She says as she's beating her down and chasing her outside, Graves says, "This is a terrible career move for Dana Brooke."
He's the best.
He is the best. And one thing I noted here is that after Charlotte, because they were kind of she basically pulled her back in the ring and was just beating the crap out of her. One thing I noticed is that when Charlotte finally she rolled herself out of the ring and finally got herself out of harm's way, she kind of like fell over, of course, like on her butt, and like was looking in disbelief, and her hair was kind of crazy. And as she was looking in disbelief, she quickly just kind of fixed her hair, like, "I can't believe that just happened," kind of thing. I just thought it was an interesting moment. It was a really nice touch.
There you go. The little things, right?
Just the little things, absolutely. So anyways, yeah, I'm interested to see where it's going.
All right. Well, next up was a quick little segment. It was actually the Warrior Award. So it was granted this year towards a young gentleman named Eric Legrand.
Hey, he has the same first name as you.
Great first name. Great first name. So Eric was paralyzed due to a spinal cord injury in football. And essentially he is now a motivational speaker and has always been a lifelong WWE fan.
Yeah, cool.
So good for him. It's good to see that he's being recognized. And apparently he's, it looks promising. He has little recovery things and whatnot. He's taking some steps and whatnot with some assistance. But
that's awesome.
Who knows? It'd be nice to see if they can reverse paralysis one day. That'd be a great thing to see.
Yeah, I see some of these hits that some of these football players take, and I'm surprised there aren't more football players that are that are paralyzed.
Oh yeah.
You see some of these hits that they take like in midair and they're falling on their heads, and some of these guys do end up having spinal injuries, but a lot of them, they might get a concussion or they might hurt themselves a little bit, but it's just insane that there aren't more of these.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyhow, it's cool. It's cool to see the Warrior Award there. So this is the third annual Warrior Award they're going to be giving out at the Hall of Fame the night before WrestleMania. So, no, good for him. It's good.
Yeah, good for him.
Yep, I liked it. I will admit the next match I didn't watch.
You didn't see it, eh?
I did not watch it. Unfortunately, I was a little strapped for time this week, and there were certain segments that I just had to kind of breeze past. This unfortunately was one of them.
Well, I'll cover it quick for our guys and gals out there. So it was T.J. Perkins and Akira Tozawa versus Brian Kendrick and Tony Nese. So I have a couple notes here. First of all, I still think that Tozawa is crazy with his screaming and how pumped he is. I mentioned that it looks like he's basically on speed.
Well, last week when he was calling out Brian Kendrick, he was basically like, this is not the exact words, of course, but Brian Kendrick, you come out here now. Ah! 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 Ah!
It was even crazier this time. Yeah. He was just his facial expressions, and he's always pumped. Tozawa did an awesome dive through the ropes. A lot of dives through the ropes as of late into Kendrick. And there was footage of Neville watching in the back, our hero. I noted that I liked how Tony Nese wrapped the ring skirt around Tozawa, who was trying to get in the ring, and then Nese drop kicked both legs into Tozawa's face that was wrapped in the mat. That was pretty unique. And lastly, I noted that Nese ended up winning the match by rolling up T.J. Perkins with the tights, just like Sasha did to Dana Brooke.
At least with Tony Nese, or as I have grown to love to call him now, as coined by Corey Graves, Tony Nese's abs.
Tony Nese's abs.
At least he's a heel.
Yeah.
So
well,
if he's gonna
kind of a heel.
I think he's supposed to be the heel, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Because he was with Kendrick, right?
Seems like a bit of a tweener that can go anywhere, though.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it's hard to kind of find the line. There needs to be you have to be one or the other, though. You can't really be both to be effective. I don't think to be truly effective.
The thing is, I think Tony Nese hasn't really said much that's been very heelish. He just has a cocky grin to him, or smirk to him, and he I don't know, maybe he's a little conceited, but if that's all it is, come on, you need some mic work, man.
Yeah.
Like Neville.
Yeah. Maybe he gets a lot on 205 Live, though. I don't know, right? Because I actually have never seen the show.
I've watched some of it.
Have you? Yeah.
And he barely says anything.
Was that right?
Yeah, I watched some 205 Live. So.
Yeah. Well, maybe his abs say everything.
Maybe that's all it is.
He just speaks with his muscles.
Yeah.
But in any case, if he is supposed to be the heel, even though I don't like the roll-up, and especially with the tights because it's just so overdone.
Yeah.
At least it makes a little bit more sense.
Sure.
Anyways.
Next up was Anderson and Gallows interview in the back with, is it Charlie? I believe is her name.
Charlie Caruso, yeah.
Yeah. So they were just talking about how they've beaten both of the other teams, which would be Sheamus and Cesaro and Enzo and Cass. Yet everyone continues to talk about the other teams rather than them, Anderson and Gallows. And I actually noted that I was actually fairly impressed with how versed these guys are on the mic. You can tell that they've been around for a while, and they were very comfortable with how they were talking. So that's just basically all
cool.
I noted.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, they've been around a long time. Carl Anderson, I don't think has really this is his first time being on the big stage, aside from New Japan, but on big American stage.
Yeah.
I don't think he really wrestled in. I don't know if he really wrestled anywhere else. I know he wrestled, I believe, in Mexico, obviously in Japan. He might have been in Ring of Honor at one point, but this is his real first big kick at the can, on an American stage. And of course, Gallows has been around a while. He started in WWE as Festus.
Yeah.
And then he was with CM Punk there as as Doc Gallows, right?
Yeah.
He was Doc Gallows, or was it Luke Gallows?
I think it was when you said Doc Gallows, that rang a bell.
He was Doc Gallows in New Japan.
Oh, so he was Luke Gallows?
I think he was Luke Gallows in WWE.
Well, knowing CM Punk, yeah, I couldn't. And the gimmick was he was announcing him as the real person. So
that's right. Yeah. So and then he was in TNA actually as well, or Impact Wrestling, for a little while too, and then he went to Japan and of course made a huge name for himself in Japan. But yeah, so anyways, both guys have been around for a while, And if you've ever listened to them on like Talk Is Jericho, they're pretty funny.
Yeah, well, I've listened to them a little bit.
Yeah, a little obnoxious, but they're pretty funny.
Yeah, I think I listened to their first podcast
yeah.
with them when they were discussing the traditions in Japan and whatnot.
Yes.
So.
Yep, exactly. Yep, for sure.
You probably saw the next segment.
I did watch
or
the
next
segment.
match. My apologies.
Well, first it was a segment. KO came out and
Yeah, you're right.
talked first. Of course, he talked about it was a month ago today that he took the spotlight and he put it back right where it belongs, and that's on Kevin Owens, right? Recap the festival of friendship and the destruction of Chris Jericho. Went on to say again that he's not his best friend now, and he never was his best friend. That's harsh.
It's harsh.
That's really, really harsh. Basically, Kevin Owens claims that Jericho never claimed Owens to be his best friend either, and that Jericho was just using him to get closer to his Universal Championship belt. So he stabbed Jericho in the back before Jericho got a chance to stab Owens in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he said he's going to take the U.S. title at Wrestlemania, just like Jericho took the title from him. He actually kind of went to say that it wasn't Goldberg that beat him at Fastlane.
It was Jericho.
It was Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
Yeah. Goldberg didn't beat him for the title. Chris Jericho stole the title from him, essentially. Yeah. It was a good segment. I liked it.
He then said, "The last thing we're going to witness is the tear of Jericho.
Yes.
Cry it out, man."
Loved it. Yeah, I thought it was great. And then he referred to Chris Jericho and that waste of space partner of his, Sami Zayn.
I loved it.
Poor Sami.
Waste of space. Who writes this stuff?
Poor Sami. And of course, yeah, so anyways, that led into KO and Chris Jericho. KO and Samoa Joe, versus Sami Zayn and Chris Jericho. As soon as KO was done his talking there, the hippo music started.
Oh, here we go.
Samoa Joe's music came out. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom.
That's such ridiculous music.
Yeah. So, and then Sami Zayn came out and then Jericho came out to a good ovation. Of course, had his scarf on and that pompous Jericho walk.
He's got to keep these heel things. It's awesome.
Yeah, I do like it.
As a face, I like it.
Yeah.
He never did that in the past.
No, he used to always, he would go almost
He's being a tweener.
Yeah.
But the reverse way.
Yeah.
It's cool.
It is cool.
He's a face with heel characteristics.
I almost feel a little hypocritical from what I just said.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. Well, it's Jericho, man.
Yeah, Jericho's the best.
He's been around forever. He's allowed to do whatever the heck he wants.
I was just going to say, he can do whatever he wants. He
has these newbies that were in NXT 2 years ago.
Yeah, Kevin Owens. No, I'm sorry, Kevin Owens.
Nah, he's an exception, too.
He is totally an exception. He's the man.
That's right. We're just a bunch of hypocrites.
Everything we've been saying for the last 2 minutes is just completely hypocritical.
Yeah.
So basically, Y2J chants throughout the match. It was a hard-hitting, fast-paced match for sure. I totally agree with that.
And, Kevin Owens mocked Jericho with the one-legged pin everyone will remember, specifically from the early 2000s, where he flexes and says, "Come on, baby!" And Jericho yells out, kind of awkwardly, I must say, from the outside of the ring, "Come on, you stupid idiot!" before being super kicked off the side of the ring.
Yeah, and then Zayn, of course, did his flip over the top rope, which he always does. It was pretty cool as he had to actually jump higher to compensate for the close barricade.
Yeah, it was really close.
Yeah, it's kind of like a swanton bomb he does, hey?
Yeah.
Essentially is what it is.
Except he lands on his feet, kind of.
Yeah, he almost does does a really big rotation.
Yeah. It's almost safer because you're not landing on your back.
That's true. Although he almost died doing it to Samoa Joe off the ramp a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's like, that wouldn't have been good. So basically it was a really, really, really good match, and then It ended with a disqualification on KO and Joe due to a prolonged double team on Sami Zayn. Sami just got the tar beat out of him again.
Yeah, Jericho nearly got the walls of Jericho on Samoa Joe. No, it was on KO.
Yeah.
But Samoa Joe hit him from behind.
Mm-hmm. And then KO and Samoa Joe, they beat on Jericho together. And then KO basically ended up hitting that pop-up powerbomb to Jericho. I actually thought that Jericho was going to make a comeback there. I was actually thinking he'd probably hit a code breaker, but no, he just got smushed with that powerbomb.
Yeah.
It's funny, hey, that pop-up powerbomb is just really effective.
It's pretty strong.
It looks good too.
It does.
Yeah. So that was that, and there was more from Jericho later on, which of course we'll get to. And that brings us to Stephanie and Foley segment numero dos.
Numero deux. So Steph asked Foley to fire Sami Zayn as he's an underperformer.
Is there some kind of a theme here?
There's a huge theme I'm noticing. Nia Jax showed up to complain about Sasha Banks getting the title shot at WrestleMania. So Steph says to make it up to her, she put her against Bayley in a match tonight. And I just noted that I'm not sure why Nia was happy after that, as it wasn't for the belts or an opportunity to join the match at WrestleMania.
It was just to beat up Bayley.
That's all it was.
Really.
So Foley said he needed to take a walk, and Jinder Mahal stops Mick, stating he better not be considering him, as he's a main event level talent, and it was Rusev that was holding him back. Foley said Mahal would be facing Reigns tonight.
Roman Reigns. That's just the match that I've been waiting to see.
Hardbody Mahal versus Reigns. Go Mahal, go.
Go Mahal, go. I'd be all over that. A Jinder Mahal push.
Would have been funny if the crowd did Mahal chants during the match. They didn't though.
No.
They
Hardbody Mahal.
Oh, that was really long.
That was awkward.
HBM. BM. hard bowel movement ball. HBM.
Oh.
That's something Jericho would say, actually.
Metamucil. Anyways,
we're going off here.
We're veering off into
commercials of some sort.
Yes.
They'll be sponsoring us next week, fans.
Do you find it?
You still wanted to do a commercial there.
I was gonna do a Metamucil commercial, but I decided against that.
Next up.
All right. Here's another segment that I decided to actually skip.
It was very quick. It's 2 lines. Terrible New Day talk segment with Big Show about his Jetsons movie. I'm going to repeat this. A terrible New Day talk segment with Big Show about his Jetsons movie. God, that sounds bad. Just, Titus O'Neil. Oh, it's getting worse.
No, it's getting better.
Titus O'Neil. Titus O'Neil comes in, upset that he's not the star, and pushes Big Show. Big Show is mad.
No, not the star of what? The segment?
No, of the Jetsons movie.
So Titus O'Neil is very upset that he's not the star of this obviously WWE produced Jetsons movie.
That's correct. That's it.
Okay.
That was this piece of garbage segment.
Wow.
And
Well,
and I guess the introduction of New Day's show.
I'm certainly
New Day
sad.
Talks.
I'm certainly sad that I missed that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. After this, we had Big Cass and Enzo Amore versus Sheamus and Cesaro.
Did you catch this one?
I did actually watch. Well, I watched some of this one for sure.
Sweet.
Yeah. This was for the number 1 contendership for the World Tag Team titles, and so whoever won this match would end up going against the club at WrestleMania for the Raw Tag Team titles.
Boy, I wonder what happens.
I saw this coming a mile away, but let's keep going. Corey Graves. Corey Graves is so good.
He is.
Yep. He says discount store Eminem and Big Cass.
I love how he hates certain people.
Yeah.
He hates Enzo.
Yeah.
And he hates... Help me out here. Do you remember who else?
I don't actually remember.
It's not Sami Zayn, believe it or not.
No, he doesn't actually. Yeah, you know what? I don't know. But he definitely has some. He has a lot to say about certain people for sure.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, but no, Enzo, he certainly has a strong disdain for.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm assuming he had some sort of a feud with Enzo. It's pretty strong.
I mean, it's possible it's carrying over from NXT. I don't really know.
Okay.
Because I'm sure. I think they probably were in NXT together at one point. Well, they were both tag teams at the same time.
He hates New Day, just like us.
Right.
He hates. Yeah.
Maybe that's why we have a common ground. Maybe that's why we like Corey Graves so much.
He'd be good on this podcast. He'd be a good guest.
He'd be a great guest.
We'd all be negative. Our topics of discussion would
Just
be negative.
Negative together. No, I've definitely turned into a Corey Graves fan, I'd say, in the last couple of months.
Our fans are like, yeah, we know. You love Corey Graves and Neville.
We also love Baron Corbin.
We do.
Yeah.
Baron Corbin. No abs. You got Tony Nese's abs and Baron Corbin's no abs.
They're like the odd couple.
Yeah.
They're I can't even listen to their shtick anymore.
No, it's so rehearsed.
It's so rehearsed.
Can't believe the crowd. The crowd seems to be back into them again. There's less booze again. I don't know. Maybe city to city.
Yeah. But one thing I did actually like I'm not a big fan of the whole cup of haters. It's kind of funny, but I really liked they talked about the whole coffee thing from last week with Cesaro.
James is a coffee fan, a really big coffee fan.
I do probably drink anywhere from on a slow day, like today, I probably only drank about maybe 5 cups.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, probably 5 cups. To like on a Saturday, I'll make a whole pot myself, and I'll drink the whole pot throughout the day.
Oh my God. I have a little thermos that I sip throughout the day. That's good enough.
Just hook it to my veins.
You must be so dehydrated.
I do need to start drinking water for sure.
Yeah.
Sometimes I find that I have a bit of a headache, and I think that's probably...
I'll tell you right now, you're dehydrated. That's why you're getting a headache.
I'm not thirsty, though.
Well, it's because you probably have liquid in you.
So how am I dehydrated if I have liquid in me?
It's complex. It's something to do with caffeine. Caffeine is a dehydrator.
It has something to do with amino acids.
Well, it's the same thing with say you're on an island and you haven't drank water in several days.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just start drinking alcohol like beer because there's water in it. It'll just dehydrate you more and you'll die because you're dehydrated. Doesn't work that way.
Is there science to this?
There's science.
Interesting.
Just like you can't drink ocean water.
Well, I know you can't drink ocean water because it's got salt in it.
Well,
And
exactly.
And fish poop. And no caffeine.
What don't kill you make you more strong.
You rise.
You fall.
You're down.
And you rise again.
What don't make you? What don't kill you?
That's what don't kill you. Make you more strong.
That's right. Makes you more strong.
Wow.
Anyways, we're way off.
We're in Metallica land, guys.
It shows how much we love these guys.
We've gone from coffee to islands to drinking ocean water and alcohol to Metallica.
So let's bring it back to the match. The whole point of that was I liked they introduced the Cup of Haters mug.
That's where we went off of. We went from a coffee mug that says Cup of Haters to Metallica singing What Don't Kill You, Make You More Strong.
Correct.
All right.
Yeah, exactly. I have a small attention span once in a while. Anywho, Sheamus did that rolling move while Cesaro jumped over him and stomped on his opponent. Yep. I really enjoy that move.
You like that one?
I'm a big fan of that one. Big Cass had 2 fall-away slams to Cesaro, which is always impressive.
2 Scott Halls.
I give it two Scott Halls up.
There you go.
Yeah.
I do like that one.
It really just shows how strong some of these guys are. Like to basically take a big man like Cesaro, who is, probably about 240, 250, and just toss him behind him.
Tosses him far too.
Yeah, like he's just ragdolling him almost. So it just kind of goes to show how strong Cass is and how strong some of these other guys that do these fall-away slams are.
Ragdoll living in a movie.
Good song. Should we discuss some Aerosmith now? Is that where we're going?
I almost didn't say that, but I had to.
You had to do that?
We'll proceed. It is a good song, though.
Yep. And, so anyways, a big boot to Cesaro by Cass. Eric, you made a note here that the match is really only interesting when Cass is wrestling.
I didn't realize that. I thought I just generally hated these guys.
Yeah.
But I'm like Corey Graves. I really hate Enzo. I'm not a big fan of when Cass talks in this gimmick, but when he's wrestling, he's entertaining. He's strong, quick, powerful.
He's got a good look.
Yeah, he's got the look.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, everything speeds up for the best when he's wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, when Enzo's wrestling, he's clumsy. He's all over the place.
No, he's certainly not a technician.
No,
for sure. Cass with a running big boot to Sheamus, causing them both to fall out of the ring. And then basically what happened is exactly what you saw coming. Gallows and Anderson came down, and they attacked both Sheamus and Cass outside the ring, causing the ref to ring the bell due to disqualification.
Yeah, and everyone just kind of started fighting each other.
Yeah. Gallows hit some kind of crazy sidekick to Enzo on the side of the ring.
Enzo always gets a kick on the side of the ring, eh?
Yeah, he's always getting smashed in the head.
He's always getting bullied.
Yeah. So, and then Anderson and Gallows basically ended up destroying the four guys to make a point.
Yeah.
So, So we're going to find out where that's going very shortly. So I guess it really, at the end of it all, it wasn't really much of a match.
No, it was just a way of WWE saying we've got no idea for X team and we're going to put them all together in a 6-man tag.
You ruined the surprise.
My apologies.
I'm shaking my head right now.
I'm not upset. I'm just disappointed.
Okay, Dad.
Next up was a quick recap of the Undertaker and Reigns segment from last week, followed by Mick Foley stopping Gallows and Anderson backstage. He was pissed right off. He threatened that he should fire both of them, but instead, here we go, James.
Mm-hmm.
The GM announced that it would be a triple threat match at WrestleMania.
Yep.
Boy, did I, and I believe yourself, call that one.
I saw that coming a mile away. I think we talked about it possibly off air last week.
Yeah.
That what's going to happen after they made this number one contenders match. That they want to just make sure they get all three teams in WrestleMania. So that they're going to go there. And do you think Gallows and Anderson are going to retain, or should we
have this weird feeling, I don't know why, but I don't think Enzo and Cass are going to win.
No.
I have a feeling Cesaro and Sheamus are going to win.
They're going to regain the titles?
Yeah, I'm going to say that.
Yeah. Especially it seems like it sure sounds like they're keeping them on as a tag team for the long term.
They're kind of entertaining.
They are actually
They're kind of grown on me a little bit, surprisingly.
Oh, and especially for me. I mean, with Sheamus, I basically quit wrestling for a period of time because Sheamus was the world champion again.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't handle it. I was just like, I just can't handle this.
Right.
But maybe it's because he's not in the world title scene, perhaps. He's not in the main event that I'm finding him a little bit more acceptable.
Or maybe it's because Roman Reigns has completely overshadowed him with how terrible he is.
Well, maybe everybody is good compared to Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's nobody else can do any wrong when Roman Reigns is on the show.
You got it.
So, anywho, yep, triple threat match at WrestleMania for the Raw Tag Team Championships.
You got it.
Yep.
Next up, Roman Reigns versus Hard Body Jinder Mahal.
Yeah.
/ HBK and Roman Reigns segment.
Yeah, that was interesting. I certainly didn't...
Not a mile away. I didn't see this coming.
No. So the Undertaker's gong went off at the start of the match, which distracted Roman Reigns. Mahal ended up doing a high knee, a slam, got a 2 count. Actually, I was actually surprised at how much offense Mahal got on this.
Yeah, he's getting some respect, I guess.
Yeah, even if it was a little bit of a cheap start to the match.
He'll be ahead of Sami Zayn in a couple weeks. No problem. We're gonna call if we don't call this podcast something related to Sami Zayn. The burial of Sami Zayn.
Oh, poor.
So we should call it
the burial of Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
All right,
guys.
that's cool.
It's been named.
Done and done. So, anyways, yeah, I was actually surprised at the amount of offense that Mahal was getting. He beat on Reigns in the corner for a bit, but Reigns just got back up, ends up landing a couple of Superman punches on Mahal, and of course gets the win. Grabs the microphone. Roman Reigns yells for the Undertaker, demands that he comes out here like a man, and I wasn't really expecting the Undertaker, but I certainly wasn't expecting the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, because he doesn't really fit anywhere. Well, except for maybe past matches with Undertaker at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I suppose. So that's kind of really what it is. It's kind of like he basically came out and really that's what it is, right? It's just talking about the fact that the Undertaker is going to be getting in Roman's head and that the Taker is going to eat him alive at WrestleMania. Roman Reigns actually said, "I'm not going to lie, it's pretty cool to see you. It goes without saying Detroit loves you, but I'm sorry, HBK. I called out The Undertaker."
Yeah, it's kind of heelish.
Little heelish. And I mean, I just don't know about this guy. Like, he's doing all of the heel stuff. But he's being pushed as the face. I just don't understand. Anyways, Shawn Michaels comes back and says, "I'm Mr. Frickin' WrestleMania."
Yeah.
Yay! The crowd cheers.
Yeah. He was basically telling Reigns to have some respect, and yeah, he said, "I'm Mr. Frickin' WrestleMania."
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really see much of the point of having him there. I don't know. He compared his career to Reigns, stating he walked in his shoes, that he also had to carry the weight of the company on his shoulders just like Reigns, and that everyone wanted him to fail as well. Basically just like Reigns. But Reigns said, "With all due respect, The Undertaker retired you, and I'm the guy that's going to retire him."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so then he left, and he went up the ramp, and then the segment was saved.
Yeah.
Huge body check or a clothesline out of nowhere from one Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman is actually is one of our favorites as well, obviously.
Yeah. Reigns flew, man.
Oh, he flew.
He did a good job. Reigns did a good job of
Yeah.
rolling down the ramp, and there's even a funny picture online of it. But yeah, he flew into the side, got all messed up and tangled up.
Yeah, no, but I thought it was good because he just kind of like just flopped, and it was good because it was almost like Reigns was out on his feet.
It was effective too because where Reigns kind of fell off to the side off the ramp, it was very dark. You could barely see him. Yeah, he just looked dead.
Yeah, no, he totally was good, and he fought, and then he said to Shawn Michaels afterwards, "If I wanted to do it to you, I would."
Yeah, he didn't say it on the mic, but he just screamed it out.
Yeah, he's just screaming. He always screams.
Yep.
I like the screams, and then had some great chants going on.
Yep.
A "Thank You Strowman" chant.
Yeah,
it's great. And then the segment ended with HBK chants while Reigns was trying to get up, which kind of says a lot again about where everybody's at with Roman Reigns. You've got Braun Strowman, you've got HBK, and you've got the guy who is supposed to be the guy in the segment. You've got thank you Strowman chants, and you've got HBK chants.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing anything for Roman Reigns. As a matter of fact, everyone in that arena was happy, except maybe a couple of the kids, that he got knocked out.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? So, I don't know. It's just baffling. So, anywho, off to Stephanie and Mick Foley segment number 3.
Yeah. Steph reminds Foley that he has 1 hour to make the decision. And if he doesn't decide, Steph will decide for him. And if she decides, it might be a decision that he doesn't like. So following that segment was a recap of Neville and Austin Aries segment last week. So Aries wrestled Tony Nese on a match on 205 Live. I just wanted to make a quick note. It was kind of shown at first, but they've kind of swept it under the rug. I don't know if you watched that match. I don't know why they did this. Aries had a really hard time beating Tony Nese. Honestly, if I give you a percentage right now, 65% of that match was dominated by Tony Nese. Really weird. Don't know why they did that. 35% maybe to Aries. Aries won. Yeah. He had some good things in there. Tony Nese had a lot of great things. I don't know. Maybe they just didn't want to maybe they felt like Tony Nese was kind of being buried and they wanted to make him stronger again.
Yeah. It could be that because that was also Austin Aries' first match.
Yeah.
In months
against maybe a stronger guy. They could have put him easily against your buddy there from Scotland there.
Noam Dar.
Yeah, and they could have just buried Dar. But
where I was going with that was that maybe they were showing the fact that he maybe had some rust.
That could be.
That's why he was having a hard time with Tony Nese's abs.
Exactly. Yeah, because his match on Raw, which we're going to discuss right now, was against Arya Daivari. And
not the Daivari from years ago.
No. Which Daivari was that I got? That was he the one with?
He was with
Muhammad Hassan.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So first thing I noticed was his nickname is A Double. Didn't know this.
Who's this?
Austin Aries' nickname.
A Double.
A Double.
Oh, that I did not know either.
A la Triple H. A Double.
Yeah. Well, I guess you can't call him Double A.
It's Arn Anderson.
That's
right?
Arn Anderson, absolutely. So A Double Austin Aries. Okay, I'm cool with that.
They continue to focus on Aries being a lefty southpaw, which he definitely is, as you can tell, his stance, his strikes, everything. And I do like how he lays on the corner of the ropes. I believe that's Jericho that used to do that. That cocky lying on the corners, or was that Shawn Michaels?
I think Shawn Michaels did it first. He definitely, I think was probably the first guy to actually do that, kind of like jump on the rope and like kind of lay on the rope. Jericho's done it. Probably Ziggler has probably done it, I'm sure.
I no longer like it.
There's somebody else that I was just actually thinking about that's definitely done it as well, but I just can't think of who it is now.
Is it Sami Zayn?
It was not Sami Zayn.
I wonder how many times we've said that man's name on this podcast.
Oh, if Sami Zayn's listening, we don't apologize. Anyways.
Well, he rises, he falls, he rises, and he falls again. That's it.
Poor Sammy. So Daivari wrapped Aries' arm back behind his back and did a really nice spinning clothesline to Aries.
It was really, really nice. It looked quite stiff.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah. Aries licked his hand.
Oh, so gross.
Kind of like he's like a little
BJ Penn licking his gloves.
Yeah.
Oh.
But doesn't what's his face do that too? The Big Show.
He doesn't lick his hand.
No, maybe he doesn't lick his hand. He does the hush thing.
God.
But yeah, no.
Probably has a throat infection.
Yeah. But licked his hand and slapped his chest. That would hurt.
Well, yeah, I guess so.
I wonder why that is. Like if
there's science behind it.
We're gonna have to look it up. Maybe we'll call Alvin Einstein and ask him if he knows.
Alvin. Albert.
Oh, Albert.
Alvin. Did you do that on purpose?
I probably did.
Oh God, it's getting late.
Yeah, so basically, he did the pendulum elbow to the chest. Looks even stiffer than the people's elbow.
It really does.
Yeah.
Hate to say it, guys. Makes people's elbow look pretty weak.
Has the people's elbow ever looked strong?
No.
No, it has
It really
not.
hasn't. It's always been a bit of a goofy move.
Yeah. So basically, lots of good stuff in this, including Aries diving through the ropes into Daivari on the outside. There's lots of wrestlers that are doing that now. Hey,
Everyone. Dean Ambrose.
Dean Ambrose does every
match.
single match. Yeah, through the second two ropes.
Yeah, that's where they always go.
Yeah, it was they call this. I don't know if they still call it this, but they used to call it the suicide dive. I don't know if they still call it that.
I don't know. It's probably safe because everyone's doing it. I guess if you push forward, you might not get hurt. Because if the wrestler stands still, you shouldn't hurt yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know, but you're right. Everyone does it. It's not that special anymore, unfortunately.
Getting old.
It is getting old. Yeah, I like the roll up. And then Aries threw Daivari over his head, and Daivari actually landed right on his neck.
Yeah, that was not meant to happen.
No, that was a bit of a botch, I think. I haven't heard anything about Daivari being injured or anything, so I'm presuming that he's fine.
I think he's okay.
Yeah. Aries does that rolling elbow into Daivari's head to end the match, which looked really stiff.
Agreed.
It looked that I don't know. Is it a rolling elbow? I wrote down the discus elbow. I don't know what they call it, but
well, I saw it from the side. And pro wrestling's
Yeah.
a work, so there's often space.
Yeah.
I didn't see space.
Yeah. No, I think that even when he hit Neville with it last week too, and it was pretty.
Better be careful. He's gonna make some heat backstage.
Yeah. Well, I think as long as people are okay with
Concussions and neck injuries.
You are right. It actually is the head area.
Yeah.
So you might be right. But I mean, it's like Steve Austin has said on his podcast, like there's a difference between working stiff and working snug.
Yeah. So
even though it may look really stiff, if he's kind of pulling back at that last second and not hitting him with all of his might, as long as it still looks good, it'll do the trick.
So as long as you work like Farouk and not like Ahmed, you'll be okay.
Correct. Yes. Pearl City Plunge.
That's right.
All right. So Aries won that match. Next match was an equally exciting match. The Big Show versus Titus O'Neil.
It was not equally as exciting.
Winner gets Jane Jetson.
Oh, God. Did you watch this?
No, I did not.
All right. Well, during this boring match, Corey Graves says, you know what one match I would like to see? Braun Strowman versus The Big Show. He completely ignores Titus O'Neil.
I feel bad for Titus, actually. There was a time where I did like Titus O'Neil, and I think they really did drop the ball on him.
Yeah.
But they've just.
It's not all. It's partially his fault too.
It certainly is partially his fault. I'm not gonna say that it's all WWE's fault.
Yeah.
But I do feel a little bit bad for him because comments like that, it just makes you sound like. It makes it sound like who cares about Titus O'Neil?
I know. So, Big Show did 2 choke slams to Titus, and to make an example out of Titus, he tries to go for one more monster choke slam, by holding him up in the air. Well, Titus is kind of a big, heavy guy, right? So, as he was trying to hold Titus up in the air, he needed some assistance, so he held on to his trunks to do this. Well, Titus started kind of sliding downwards, and he essentially gave Titus the world's biggest wedgie. So he probably realized this, so he couldn't lift him up anymore because how heavy is Titus O'Neil. So he had to push him down into the mat. It looked horrible. It was a really bad chokeslam. Not as bad as Undertaker giving Hogan that chokeslam that one time, but bad regardless.
Oh, man, that was a bad chokeslam. He basically picked him up. I think Hogan was lifted possibly 3 inches from off of the ground, and he gently dropped him to the floor.
That was the worst chokeslam of all time.
It was not, it certainly was not good.
Agreed.
Yeah. So next, I actually didn't watch this segment. Sasha and Bailey, they're just not doing it for me.
Yeah, they just spent time discussing how intimidating Nia Jax is and how Bailey is essentially scared of her.
Didn't they do that last week?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think last week they were sitting there icing their necks and their
Oh yeah,
arms
they
and
were.
stuff.
Yeah, they were chit chatting again.
Yeah.
And Sasha basically solidified that she's soon to be turning heel when she said, "Oh, and don't listen to the haters." Bailey says, "What haters?" Sasha then replies, "Oh, the ones that keep calling you not being championship worthy." So I was like, "Oh, ha, ha, ha." So that basically solidifies that Sasha is not a Bailey fan.
So, do you think that turn is going to be at WrestleMania, or do you think it'll be before that?
Jeez. I'm going to go with WrestleMania.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm going to go with WrestleMania.
Okay. All right. The next segment was Chris Jericho backstage. So Mike Rome, who I guess is a new backstage announcer, who actually reminds me a lot of Chris Pine.
Okay.
If you know who Chris Pine is.
Sure, yep. I do.
That's who he reminds me of, Chris Pine.
He's off of Jurassic World?
No, that's Chris Pratt.
Oh, Chris Pine, Star Trek?
Star Trek, yeah.
Right.
Captain Kirk, yeah. So, and he's got a beard going right now too, Chris Pine. So, yeah, him and this Mike Rome guy look quite similar.
Okay.
So, anyhow, yeah, so Jericho says at WrestleMania, I'm going to get the revenge of Jericho. I'm going to pay him back, man. They're getting pretty creative with these, and it should be lame and played out by now.
Nope.
But it's not. It is good stuff. I really like it.
He changes his tones every time he says it too. He doesn't do it the same way.
Yep. And Jericho says what he's going to do is next week he's going to have a special edition of the highlight reel, and his guest is going to be the real Kevin Owens.
Yep.
And everyone's going to want to watch
it.
It.
Is that his new thing?
It?
Yeah.
No, he's been doing that a while.
Okay.
As well, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. All right. And then he...
This is where it gets good, folks.
This is where it gets good. Then he finishes talking about everyone's going to want to watch it. And he says, "Now hit the bricks, Tom." And Mike says, I'm Mike. Mike Rome. Tom Phillips is on SmackDown Live. And Jericho says, "I know who you are. I've been talking to Tom Phillips all summer. You know what happens when you insult Chris Jericho's intelligence? You know what happens when you don't know your own name, Tom? Do you know what happens? You just made the list!"
He had a pretty nice list too, I must say.
Yeah, he did.
It's new, right?
He did have
it's all nicely engraved.
Very nice, yeah. And then he ends the segment. He says, "Now get out of here, Tom."
Great.
It was really good.
Just loved it.
Yeah, it was funny. So we go from that fantastic segment to the last match of the evening, which was Bailey versus Nia Jax. What did you think of this one here, Eric?
I like Nia, but I'm not a Bailey fan. Saxton tells Graves to get his hands up when Bailey throws her hands up to the crowd. Corey Graves, never, not ever, Saxton.
And then he goes on to say, Corey Graves, that is, says, "Byron, I'm starting to understand your fascination with Bailey. The only meaningful relationships you guys have had in your lives are with inflatable people."
Terrific.
So good.
Terrific.
So good.
So that's another one. So he doesn't like Bailey, New Day.
Yeah, and Enzo Amore.
Enzo.
Yeah.
Bailey, Enzo. I'm noticing a trend. Same as us. Bailey, Enzo, and New Day.
We're like kindred spirits.
He doesn't like annoying gimmicks.
No. We're kindred spirits, the three of us.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, not a whole lot of a match. Basically, Nia Jax dominated this whole match and ended up being disqualified for being overly aggressive towards Bayley after the ref was telling her to stop. Noticed that the referee invoked a disqualification immediately after a 5 count, which you never see these days. Basically,
True.
She was pounding on her in the corner and he counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ring the bell. Disqualification.
Yeah, that's weird.
Like, that never happens.
Nope.
Never DQ the people for something like that. But, yeah, so anyways, Nia continued to destroy Bayley on the outside, threw her into the barricade. The barricade's being used a lot lately, too, hey?
Oh, tons.
It's just like there's so many, like, overused things. You got your roll-ups, you got your suicide dives, and you've got your throwing them into the barricades. Yeah, it just seems like a lot of overused
Oh, for sure.
ideas. So,
Next up,
yeah, the last segment of the evening,
numero 4.
Stephen McFoley, number 4.
Stephen. It's just like
Stephen Foley.
It's like one name. Stephen McFoley.
Stephen McFoley.
Oh God. Stephen McFoley.
Yep. Yeah, so Steph, of course, comes down there, calls him to the ring, advertising the man that would be getting a firing, or sorry, there was the man that would be firing a Raw superstar tonight. She clapped and smiled while he walked down and complimented him on his nimble entrance.
He's so stupid. Nimble entrance.
So condescending.
Oh, very.
Yeah.
Mick chose, and Mick ended up choosing Steph as being the one who should be fired.
Bit of a swerve.
Yeah, a bit of a swerve. You know, again, I thought he was going to say himself. He was getting pretty flustered, but yeah, he said her, and he was getting super heated. Again, he's good. He's really good when he's mad. So, I know I enjoyed it. A couple of good quotes here for sure. Mick said, "I treasured our relationship of 18 years." Kind of humanized her for half a second, right? This heel that we've seen for so long. He basically said, you know, we were friends once. And he said, "I'm looking in the eyes of a really big liar and a really bad person." Mick also said, "I will not be silenced, Stephanie." You know, he yelled that at her. And that was pretty aggressive. And, of course, right at that stage, Triple H, his music hits. He comes out with a grimace on his face. And he says to Mick, if he has something to say it to his face.
Yeah, because he had been talking about Triple H and,
Yeah.
you know, kind of running the company and that sort of thing. Just not being good people.
Yeah. Foley replies that he'd be happy to. But he didn't even know Triple H existed, as he essentially always hid in the shadows. And Triple H doesn't want a lawsuit weeks before WrestleMania. So he's not going to rip his badly need of a hip replacement leg off and beat him senseless with it.
Yeah. And one thing I liked here is Foley said, "Are you going to do it? Or are you going to assign that task to Samoa Joe? Because that seems to be the way that you roll these days."
Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty good shot.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, and then basically Triple H calls out Foley for reading the name off the cities off his hand and getting the cheap pops.
That was a nice shot.
And then he went off and said, "You know why I worked so hard at creating the future? So I don't have to look at pathetic has-beens like you anymore."
Yeah, it was rough. It was rough.
It was a really rough segment overall.
I wonder if he was referencing any other individuals.
I don't know.
Maybe I'm overthinking this.
Could be.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to keep it simple.
Yeah.
But one line that I liked from Foley here was, unlike them, he was talking about the other wrestlers and the other employees in the back.
Sure.
Unlike them, I don't have to pretend to like you, Triple H. And he said, I don't need you. I don't need this company. He says, I like what I see when I look in the mirror.
Yeah, it was nice to hear that. Self-esteem thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Lost a lot of weight.
Totally. 100 pounds, apparently.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He said he was something like 350 or something.
You know,
like
he
that.
should really take the beard off. It would make him look even slimmer. It'd be really good.
He'd look younger too, I think, with the
by
the
far.
beard, for sure. Yeah. So, but yeah. So basically, Triple H then ended up bringing Noel and Dewey into the conversation. That's Mick Foley's children, of course. Ends up threatening their future in the WWE.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, "So what you need to do is you need to tuck your tail between your legs, Mick, and waddle up that ramp. And if Stephanie tells you to jump, you better damn well jump, monkey."
Jeez.
Just harsh.
Bullying the crap out of him.
Totally.
At the stage. Just made him look like a little chump.
Exactly. Stuff like this, though, like the whole bullying thing.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's hard. Especially like when there's so much anti-bullying around.
I think it was Steph that used to have an anti-bullying thing.
I think she's still involved in anti-bullying stuff, and she just plays an absolute bully.
Oh yeah.
On the shows, and she has for years.
Hypocrite, eh?
Totally. So it's entertainment, but whatever.
Yeah.
So basically, as Foley was about to walk out of the ring, he ends up standing in the corner, facing away to the camera for quite some time. I was looking at him, and I'm like, what is he doing?
Yeah.
And Triple H walked up to him, ticked off that he hadn't exited the ring yet. And what did Foley end up doing?
Turns around, pulls a sock. What, did he pull it out? No, he already had it in his hand. Gave him the mandible claw.
Yeah.
With the sock.
Mr. Socko. Yeah. So he held on to that for actually not really all that long, but no. Triple H was he was squirming and everything with that gross dirty sock going down the gullet.
Yeah.
Of Triple H.
Imagine that was a shoot. All you had to do was just bite his fingers and you would, oh my God.
I think he puts it under his tongue.
Really? I thought he just shoves it down his throat.
No, back in the day when Mankind first started.
like a dog, if a dog's trying to bite. Oh no, you grab the top of a dog.
Yeah, but anyways, he used to have like his two middle fingers taped together.
Yeah.
And he used to stick those down the throat.
Well, and it was wrapped in a black thing when he was Mankind.
Or brown or just tape or whatever. But you might be right. It might be down the throat. But if you put it far enough down, I don't know. Can you actually bite hard enough? Because if you're pushing down on the bottom of the tongue, I don't know if maybe that affects the muscles in your mouth. In your jaw. I'm not sure.
Well, I remember when he started doing it. I remember he did a spark plug ollie, and at first his opponents would vomit white.
I remember that too. Like they were gagging and stuff, right?
Yeah, white foam would come out, but they stopped that.
Yeah. So so we got the mandible claw in there. Had him squirming for a little while, and Steph hits him with a low blow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looked like a pretty bad low blow. Was nowhere near.
No, well,
she kicked him in the bum.
Yeah, it was close. I guess it was close enough, but
wouldn't want it for real.
No, no, exactly.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, so then Triple H he takes the jacket off and he's about to start wailing on Foley. I guess he forgot. He decided the lawsuit's worth it at this point.
Yeah, all of a sudden.
And all of a sudden, Seth Rollins' music hit.
Yeah, Seth walks out. He's got a crutch. And he kind of hobbles towards the ring, and he's staring at Triple H, and of course, drops the crutch, and he runs into the ring. And so he got a lot of offense on Triple H at first, a lot of offense, but everything kind of turned around, didn't it?
Yeah, it sure did. The Triple H managed to get out of the ring, and right when you think Raw was actually done, Triple H ended up grabbing Seth's crutch, runs back into the ring.
Yeah.
Seth actually ended up getting a few more punches, but Triple H managed to get 2 strong shots to Seth's injured knee.
Yeah.
To end the show. Actually, he I guess what I was watching, he ended up getting him with this really crazy knee bar as well.
You're right. I thought it was the figure 4, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it was this weird. It kind of looked like a figure. Like a figure 4, but he was facing the other direction.
Oh.
And then what happened is that he ended up falling to his back, and basically pulling his heel down which ended up hyperextending the one knee.
It's so weird because I thought the whole night was going to end with Seth in the ring looking strong.
Yeah.
They just surprise.
Yep, exactly. So, but one thing I noticed is that like Triple H is just like, he's a beast, but he's just a beast.
Oh yeah.
And like Seth Rollins, even in as great a shape as he is, and as ripped as he is, when he came down wearing that little hoodie or whatever, he just looked like a little boy.
Well, and he's wearing tight pants, right?
Yeah, true.
So he
enough.
looks very scrawny.
He looks really scrawny compared to Triple H.
And Triple H has a different figure. I've noticed. He's thicker now.
Yeah.
He used to be skinnier and more ripped.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't say skinny. He was never skinny, but he's even thicker now. Like Lesnar, almost thick.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Probably just eating more carbs, but working out like a machine.
Yeah.
So you're thicker and built.
Yeah.
It's just a different look.
Yeah. And he doesn't need the cardio for the most part.
Right. That's just it.
Like he's not wrestling.
He looks like
matches.
He looks like more of a lifter now.
Yeah. So I wonder what the match is going to be like.
Good point.
Like it's hard. It's really hard to say. He usually pulls out the stops when he wrestles at WrestleMania. However, like you said, his physique is different than it was even last year.
Yeah.
Was it who did he fight last year?
That
wasn't Sting.
Maybe no one.
No, he fought Roman Reigns because he was the champ.
Of course. So no one.
Correct. Well, actually, I've never seen the match, so he may not have wrestled at all. I don't know.
That match sucked. Yeah, I was Sting the year before.
Yeah, I'm not going to be going out of my way to watch that either. So
Sting, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
Look at Triple H go.
Look at him go. Yeah.
Just grabbing all the guys.
Doing pretty good for a 46, 47-year-old man.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So that was basically the end. Makes you wonder if this was actually done because Seth never could wrestle at WrestleMania, and they actually needed an excuse for it.
Yeah, I was really wondering that.
I was actually not thinking that at all. It's a really interesting point.
Yeah.
Because since he was wrenching so hard on the knee,
yeah.
I actually was thinking, well, he can't really. I think we talked about this previously with other characters that have injuries. That if the knee was that badly damaged, wrenching on it like that, work or no work.
Was he wrenching on the opposite knee possibly?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just it, right?
Yeah, it's his left knee that's
right.
That's sore.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to picture it. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but it's possible maybe they did the other knee. But people aren't stupid. They're gonna be like, "Hey, how come he's doing to the other knee?"
Yeah, exactly.
But in any case, that brings up a really interesting point. I wonder if he's actually not going to be able to perform because like they said, they're less than 3 weeks away from WrestleMania as of Monday night. I mean, if his knee is still in pretty rough shape, 3 weeks is not a lot of time.
Oh, agreed.
So. That said, I mean, obviously they must be building up something to have something to do with Triple H. So I wonder if
not a lot of time for a backup. So
no, I mean they'd almost have to
throw Mick at him.
Mick could hardly even walk to the ring.
Yeah.
So I know there was the talk of Finn Balor at one point. Potentially taking over.
There's no story behind it.
There is no story behind it. I mean, essentially, the only thing is that he could say that, he had a part in creating Finn Balor kind of thing, or Triple H could say something like that, and he could, Balor could say, "I don't like how you're treating the guys coming up," and I don't know. I'm reaching at this point. I don't really know what kind of story they could tell for anybody, to be honest.
Right.
Yeah. So, anywho, that was Monday Night Raw. I guess what we should do is finish off with our last segment, which is the Raw S&M, the segments and matches.
You got it. Let's start off with the best match of the night.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do match. Why not?
Okay.
No particular order required. My favorite match was KO and Samoa Joe versus Sami Zayn and Chris Jericho.
Okay.
You?
I think I would go with that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that was good. I thought Aries and Daivari was pretty good as well, but no, I think KO and Samoa Joe versus Sami and Jericho was definitely a bit bigger. Plus, of course, there's just a real story was told there with Kevin Owens and Jericho and Samoa Joe. Obviously, KO and Samoa Joe are pretty much aligned now.
Yeah.
So that told a good story there. So I liked it.
Okay. I have a tie for worst match.
Okay.
Sasha Banks versus Dana Brooke with that terrible roll-up.
Okay.
Tied with Big Show versus Titus O'Neil with, well, a prequel of the terrible segment. Can you guess what my worst segment's going to be, everyone?
Oh yeah, we'll get there.
They already know.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna say definitely Big Show versus Titus was the worst match of the night. Even though I didn't really watch much of it, I'm gonna have to presume it was the worst match of the night. Followed closely by Bayley and Nia Jax.
Okay.
I was not into that match at all. In fact, I was probably, especially because of the ending of the Sasha Dana Brooks, just the way that it ended up kind of ending with the breakup of Charlotte and Dana. At least the story was kind of told there.
Yeah.
Whereas I found, I guess a story was told with Nia Jax and Sasha as well, Bayley as well. But I just didn't think the match there was anything to it.
Yeah, I guess it was just the match itself, Sasha versus Dana. I wasn't a big fan of.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
You're right. Dana and Charlotte at the end was entertaining to a degree. Let's actually jump into the worst segment.
Okay.
So we can end off on something positive.
Sounds great. Finally, something positive.
Something positive. So, of course, my worst segment was definitely that New Day's Talk segment with Big Show and Titus O'Neil. It was nonsensical. It was boring. It was lame. They were fighting over a cartoon. So, it was dumb. And it was so actually, we haven't even discussed this. I don't even remember. But New Day was talking about stuff before everything related to the Jetsons. It was atrocious. I can't even remember. So, it was just absolutely terrible.
Okay. And that would probably be my worst, but I didn't really watch the segment, so it's almost hard for me to judge it. I guess I can judge it.
I've explained it enough.
Yeah. But of the segments I did watch, yeah. I would probably say let's see here. Probably aside from the fourth segment of Foley and Steph.
The recurring Steph and Foley.
The recurring Steph and Foley segments were probably accumulated to one awful segment. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Let's finish her off.
All right. Finish off with the best segment.
Best segment. Number one for me, Foley, Steph, Triple H, and Seth. Very emotional. You know, there was the bullying, but, made you angry, made you feel something. Got to see Seth Rollins, got to see Triple H, beat the tar out of each other. I liked it.
I thought it was a good segment. Actually, I agree. I think it was the best segment of the night too. Lots of hard, verbal hits between
words.
Triple H and Mick Foley. Lots of Triple H going on.
Close second, Jericho and Mike Rome.
Agreed. That was funny. That was good stuff. Yeah. When Jericho's hot, he's hot.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, we know one thing. Mike Rome has made the list.
He's made the list. I wonder if he's going to be in the next Star Trek movie.
Well, he does look like what's his face? Chris Pratt?
Chris Pine.
Chris Pine.
I guess they're both Chris P.
They're both Chris's.
They're both crispy.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Drink it in, man. James?
Yep.
I think we've covered everything tonight.
Okay. I think you're right.
Once again, next week, I do believe it'll be you and possibly Tyler.
Yeah, that's the tentative plan. Since you're going to be away,
I will be in Cancun, my fellow cohorts. I'll let you guys know how it was the next time I join my partner in crime on I guess it would be episode 9. You and I will be back together.
Yeah, we'll be back to episode number 9. So yeah, looking forward to that. Looking forward to next week. Might actually have another special guest joining us.
Should keep it a secret.
I'm going to keep it a secret, but I will say he's very excited to make his podcast debut.
I have a feeling I know who it is.
So we'll leave it at that, and we will dive into that next week. But for this week,
guys, gals, James,
Eric,
world, we will catch you next time.
Yeah, ciao for now, everyone.